What?
Will he do that?
No.
Everything's swinging around there.
It's not the Big Lebowski.
We're going to bowling. I'm competing to win. Close or no close. I'm not going to just stand there so my junk doesn't fly around.
I can't think of another sport that you could do gracefully or tactfully while naked. Well, I thought of one. Race car driving. Honestly, who would know?
Get away with it, yeah. I had a NASCAR joke about the Bush brothers that I'm just going to leave to the side.
Don't do it.
Here are Maggie and Perloff.
Oh, what up, what up? Hope you had a great weekend. It is Maggie and Perloff. And I wanted to talk about Aaron Rodgers versus Derek Carr for the Jets, but no. We got to push everything out of the way, Perloff, because the NBA had their All-Star game last night. And despite the fact that the NBA tried to put 1,000 bells and whistles onto that game, it was ironically one of the more boring events I think I've ever seen. I can catch up on this in 30 seconds the next day. I did not have to sit there through everything and watch that bad basketball game.
Yeah, you actually stayed in longer than me because you sent me the text, who are these people performing at halftime? And I was shocked. You got to halftime of this garbage?
Don't make me look like a loser. I didn't know who they were.
Nothing worse than a non-defense basketball game. You might as well.
The Pro Bowl. I mean, let's be fair. The Pro Bowl was terrible.
All All-Star games are pretty bad,
yeah.
But something about the way they were standing around last night was even worse than ever. Now, here's the thing. How does it fit into the bigger picture of where the NBA is? Because it didn't really feel all that different from the NBA regular season.
Well, that's bad.
Yeah, I mean, listen, with load management, no defense, everyone's scoring 60 points a game. I do feel like this did not exist in a vacuum. It feels like the NBA does not have the same level of regular season competition it used to have. I don't think that's a hot take. That's just fact.
Yeah, I think the NBA, is it an effort problem? I think it's just everyone has these very competing interests from game to game. Is it in the best interest for this star to sit? Okay, then they sit. Is it in the best interest for this other star to sit? Okay, they sit. Is it in the best interest for us to win this game or lose this game? That's something that your Philadelphia 76ers turn into an art form with the process. And so I think the All-Star game is probably just like the most egregious example of it. But yeah, I think the NBA has a problem with like, why am I watching this regular season game if it doesn't appear to matter?
Well, it really doesn't matter. 20 out of 30 teams make the playoffs now with the play-in tournament, if you call that the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that means there's 10 teams who don't make it, and they're probably tanking. So especially this year for Victor Wembanyama. So basically, what are we watching here? Do people, as you said, do people want to win? Do they care? Now, it's amazing with all that, the fact that LeBron has to play the games of his life to get into the playoffs is kind of sad.
Yeah.
But I think the rule in sports is as you expand the playoffs, the regular season means less. We're going to see that in college football. The NBA has probably expanded the playoffs too far, and the regular season is too long. It always has been. That leaves us with a really, really watered-down product, and it bothers me as an NBA fan. I'm a lifelong NBA fan.
Yeah.
I just cannot get up for these games, Maggie. On a Tuesday night, I don't even know what I'm watching.
You made a great point to me earlier where you said, is the NBA becoming more like Major League Baseball, where you care about your team and you want to watch the 76ers, and I kind of have a problem with the team I grew up rooting for right now, considering I'm not allowed in the building, but, you know, my team, whatever. Do you root more for your team than just like, hey, I'm going to tune in on a random Thursday night because I really want to watch, you know, LeBron versus Curry. But if LeBron's not playing and Curry's not playing, or if I want to watch Memphis play, you know, OKC, but I don't have no Ja Morant, am I still going to hang around for that game?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. Adam Silver, when he was talking about load management, said that local revenue is still really strong.
Yeah, ticket sales are high.
That sounds like everything that they've been saying about Major League Baseball, and yet MLB is irrelevant in the national scope of things in a large way. Now, I don't know if NBA is seeing that yet. There's lots of rating stories with the NBA. Who knows how people are consuming the sport anymore? But
TikTok.
There's another big factor here, too, Maggie.
What's that?
Who is the one player that everybody wants to watch?
LeBron?
He's 38.
Yeah, I know.
What happens when this is the peak LeBron. We're getting to see LeBron. Can you imagine this league in 2 years when he goes away? Who are we going to tune in for?
I know. I didn't think that was going to be a problem because Ja Morant is so exciting. The idea of Zion is good. We don't see this guy play very often, if ever. You know, you do have like the Donovan Mitchells. These guys are young and exciting. But again, am I tuning in to watch just a random Cavs game Or do I have to live in Cleveland and be a diehard Cavaliers fan to be on every game that Donovan Mitchell's going to play in?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's only one tune-in player, that's Zion. Everybody else is, I don't know, even Ja Morant, it's great, but I don't need to watch the Grizzlies versus the Clippers. I don't even need to watch the Mavs, and they have Luka and Kyrie. That's a little more interesting. Yeah, it's a league that is defined by its stars, and even the stars don't have the same grasp. So, and by the way, so all that being said, what are they supposed to do about it?
About the regular season?
About the regular season, about the All-Star game, about the lack of competitiveness that is permeating throughout this sport.
Wait, let's hear from Mike Malone, because this is the coach, one of the coaches, obviously Denver Nuggets, of course, who was commenting on the game last night.
It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be a part of a great weekend, great players, but that is the worst basketball game ever played.
I mean, wrap it up in a bow, Coach. Perfect. The worst basketball game ever played. And you know what? Like, I'm not that far behind him. Now, ironically, I actually thought the dunk contest was good.
But yeah, I'm a huge Saturday All-Star Weekend fan. I've never liked the game. The game hasn't been good since, what was it, Magic hit the last second shot. I've seen all these clips of Kobe trying in the game. I wasn't even into that. When I was a kid, I was in the game, but the game's never as good as the festivities.
As the Saturday night. Yeah, the dunk contest, which I never thought was going to deliver in 100 years. You and I were clowning the field. Who are these guys?
Yeah.
You know, we have only, know Kenyon Martin Jr. because of his dad, and we only know Sims because he plays in New York. And, who's Mac McClung? Well, turns out Mac McClung, pretty famous guy. He's has 15 minutes of fame right now. He's introducing Post Malone last night like he's hosting SNL, which was a hilarious thing you said.
Yeah.
I think that the dunk contest oddly saved the whole thing for me because Sunday night was just terrible.
Yeah, I mean, Mac McClung was notable and probably saved the dunk contest for next year in case they were going to get rid of it. But the game was so bad. I think they got to get rid of the draft, too. That was good for a little while. Now go back to East-West. At least have some sort of, identity. The drafting the players makes it even less competitive because they're all buddies and you don't want to show up anybody. I don't like the I understand Jaylen Brown versus Jason Tatum happened last night.
Yeah.
But nothing's working here. Go back to the old way.
Well, I think the draft basically underscored the one argument you've been making about Jokic and why you are so on like the warpath that Jokic should not win a third consecutive MVP. He was picked second to last night. only ahead of Lauri Markkanen, who's like playing because he's like from the Jazz. This was terrible. Jokic, that was an embarrassment to Jokic.
Are you buying Jokic's excuse?
What was his excuse?
His excuse was he didn't realize that Markkanen was still on the stage, and so he just assumed he was the last pick and just started walking down. I'm not buying it for a second. There's two people sitting there.
Dude.
There's no way he didn't notice a 7'2" guy standing next to him.
Yeah, it's not like Markkanen is small, but also I would do the same thing if I were him. I'm a 2-time MVP. I'm not getting picked last, even if I have to just walk over to LeBron's team. But it's what you say about, is
No. I don't think, I kind of disagree with that. You pick your all-star team on who's more exciting. You don't pick it. Obviously, Joker is the least exciting player in the NBA.
If you're the 2-time MVP, though, don't you?
You're telling me Lauri Markkanen is more exciting? If he chose like John Morant over him or something, but he chose Lauri Markkanen was the other option.
That was funny you brought up John Morant because even Giannis had no idea who were the starters and who were the reserves. This was him trying to take Morant as a reserve.
Our third pick is going to be one of the most exciting rising star, superstar in the league right now, John Morant. He's a starter.
I hate to break it to you, but he's starting.
What's up? What?
To be fair, who can keep up? He was replacing Steph Curry. The whole thing, it was just, I don't know. You mentioned about the draft. Does that need to go away? Stu and I were talking about this before the show. So, Stu, you tuned in what time?
Around 7:30 Eastern time.
That's when you were told the game was going to be starting, and you kind of give like, all right, maybe a half an hour, give or take.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Got several anthems that we have to sing. Canadian, you got the one for the United States. You got a lot of pomp and circumstance to do. But 7:30, that's when the draft started.
That's right, yes.
And that took 45 minutes.
It took a while, yes.
And no, it wasn't quite that long. Post Malone came in and did a concert in between.
another, like, put your palms to the sky. Why? If you're so the whole idea was they were going to choose up sides right before the game to make it like simulate an actual pickup game. When you go and play pickup basketball every Saturday morning, when you go play your run, Perloff, do you guys pick teams and then go take a water break for 20 minutes and then go play?
Yeah, but
that makes no sense.
No,
Just get out there and play.
I don't think that would make a difference. By the way, I'm looking at the order of the draft. I mean, it's amazing. I think you take the most exciting guy. Would you rather? All right, the first pick was Anthony Edwards. Is there any doubt? Wouldn't you guys pick Anthony Edwards first? Why on earth would you want to play with Joker?
Because I think you're trying to win the game, no?
What?
Okay.
But look at all the boring players who were drafted. Anthony Edwards, exciting. Then Jaylen Brown. Then you got into the Paul George, Tyrese Halliburton, Julius Randle. I mean, is there anyone who wants to watch that guy in an All-Star game? Anyone on planet Earth?
Well, Jalen Brunson probably would have been the better selection, quite frankly, from the Knicks.
My favorite was the last pick of the reserves was Jaren Jackson Jr. Yeah. And they're trying to make him sound exciting. They're like, ooh. And finally, some defense on this team. I'm like, oh, gosh.
Don't worry. He's not going to play any defense.
Yeah.
The score was 1,000 to 1,001.
But I do think I actually tweeted this out and took it aside. Like, a lot of these All-Star types are not that super exciting players anyway. Luke is not meant for the All-Star game. He's not Vince Carter or Kobe Bryant or LeBron James even.
Right.
It's just weird. I think the All-Star game was doomed from the start, but they somehow made it worse than it even could have been.
Totally. And I'm a huge NBA fan. I worked at the NBA. I love the NBA. The All-Star game has passed me by. And if the kids love it, then good. Then the NBA will be happy about that. But I do agree with you. It sort of sets in this narrative that, like, what really matters, right? Like, that's the problem right now with the NBA regular season. It's not specifically load management or specifically tanking or specifically this, or it's all of it together. That's the problem.
Yep.
It's like, Adam Silver really, pushed back on the idea that load management and guys sitting out for rest, was really hurting the league. He's like, well, that's not true. Guys play through injuries too, with this and that. It's like, no. It's not just about, we're using load management, I think, as kind of a catch-all. It's fake injuries that don't exist, where guys are just saying, I have tendonitis, is the oldest one in the book, because they don't want to, not that they don't want to play, because the doctors are telling them it's not advisable. And the players are on this, and the commissioner's on it, and the owners are on it. So here's the bottom line. It's not changing. There's no pushback. You going to finally see Steph Curry or someone come to your arena and him not playing, that's not going anywhere. And so I don't know if, as a fan, what you're to do, because the ticket prices keep going up and up.
That being said, as a Sixers fan, I want them to load manage, too. That's the other.
Right.
I want Joel Embiid to play 65 games. Definitely. Stay fresh for the playoffs. So
then you can't complain when he doesn't win MVP.
I could care less if he wins that. MVP is just a loser award anyway. I want all the NBA matters is title.
That's true.
I mean, Russell Westbrook won the MVP, and he's considered a pariah right now.
Yeah.
So all that really matters is the title. I get it as an individual, but load management is definitely a problem for the national games. They're so boring right now. And I used to live for TNT on Tuesday night or the Wednesday night ESPN game. It'd be so much fun. You have to either have fantasy or bet on it to keep it interesting.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Does the NBA have a problem right now? Are you somebody who used to watch a ton of games and now you just can't watch it anymore? I mean, Mike Malone said the worst basketball game ever. That's the All-Star game. But is it indicative of what's going on here in the regular season for the NBA, that it just doesn't mean as much? No other sport are you saying that and regular season doesn't mean a lot? That doesn't happen in football. Doesn't happen in the NFL or college. It doesn't even happen in hockey.
It definitely happens in baseball. Baseball season is long.
Baseball's long. Baseball's different, though.
I think baseball has a similar problem. These long seasons with a million teams making the playoffs.
And teams who are trying to lose.
Their playoff expansion hurt them, too. I think that's a real problem for baseball.
I don't think that the regular season doesn't matter in baseball. I just think that fans don't pay attention because it's so long. But I think the players still feel like it matters as long as it is.
I mean, I think the NBA players still think it matters. They're not trying to lose, but they also listen.
We've heard guys say the regular season doesn't matter.
Now
I've never heard a baseball player say that.
Well, it's impossible though, because I think Major League Baseball, you understand that you're going to go through swoons. Like, you're going to lose at least 60 games. You know that going in. You're going to lose 60 games. So there's sort of this like baked in, I think, understanding that you're going to lose a lot of games, and it's probably could be something totally out of your control.
Absolutely. Baseball, the length of the season, obviously. They're not going to change it now. It's got some tradition behind it. Hey, all this being said, by the way, I'm so psyched for this year's NBA playoffs. The playoffs are going to be great. It is there's so
does
much
that matter?
There's so much parity in both conferences. Yeah, I think we're going to have a great playoffs, and everyone's going to forget about how boring the regular season was. So I think that's a reality. Because there's a lot of playoff. Isn't that where they make their money? I've heard that before.
Well, for TV money.
For TV money. So as bad as this regular season is, the playoffs will make up for it. My concern with the NBA is it's becoming nationally irrelevant to some extent. I don't think we're going to talk about it like we do the NFL.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Love this in the chat. Of course, we are across the country on CBS Sports Radio. We are on the free Odyssey app. You want to download that, you can listen to the show. Crystal clear, by the way. If you want to listen to us on Sirius XM, channel 158, we are also streaming live, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, where Thomas has better options for the NBA All-Star Game, how they should choose up sides. USA guys versus international guys. Now, they've done that before in the Rising Stars competition.
Okay.
Which was always kind of fun. Tall guys versus short guys.
Okay.
Are there enough short guys? And what's short, quote unquote?
Well, yeah.
Was that 6'5" and under?
Relative, right. Do 6'5".
Big guys versus skinny guys. Again, if you're on the big guys team, is that
Nobody's
like a little fat shaming?
Yeah, no one's really that
Yeah, like
big.
Robert Tractor Trailer just doesn't exist.
There's no Charles Oakley in today's NBA.
Well,
Oliver Miller?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have Joel Embiid and
He's
James
a bigger
Harden.
guy?
Have you seen him lately? Yeah, he is bigger.
Thomas said asking for trade guys versus staying out guys.
I love that. There you go.
Everyone who has requested a trade this year, you get over on the right side, your shirts.
Yeah.
Everybody's just staying put. You're over here, your skins.
Yeah, where would LeBron go secretly if he could? And by the way, your theory that LeBron is drafting according to who he wants to play with did go. He picked one player that went Kyrie and Luka Doncic back to back.
Of course he did. It's not even subtle at this point.
So he's going to head to Dallas, or he wants those guys to come to L.A.?
Whatever way it can work out. It doesn't matter at this point. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Get it started here with a little NBA. Then we will get to this latest report that the Packers are, quote-unquote, disgusted with Aaron Rodgers. And what does this mean for his future, as well as Derek Carr, because now it's all related. Derek Carr meeting with the Jets brass in an Italian restaurant in New Jersey this weekend. One intrepid reporter caught it on a photo. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Let's get it going. We've got your phone calls and some NFL talk straight ahead. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
On Maggie and Perloff, debating the state of the NBA, which we both think regular season wise is in trouble.
Yep.
Although, Maggie, I have to tell you, I have some fictitious first round playoff matchups, and I think this is going to happen. Denver has the number 1 seed by a mile in the West. What if LeBron gets through the play-in tournament and LeBron and the Lakers face Joker and the Nuggets in round 1? Tell me you're not watching that. And then the number 2 seed would be Phoenix playing the number 7 seed Dallas, and you know what that means. Kyrie versus KD in round 1. It's all working out for the NBA. The playoffs are going to be amazing. This regular season is beyond unwatchable.
Yeah, well, here was LeBron James after the game last night talking about what the rest of the regular season means for him.
It's 23 of the most important games of my career for a regular season. And it's type of mindset that I have, and I hope the guys will have coming back off the break.
Listen, it's hyperbole, no doubt, but it would be the 3rd straight year with no LeBron in like the real official playoffs. And I can understand for his legacy's sake, he needs to make the postseason.
Yeah, he'll be fine. Because the Jazz traded their guys, they're tanking, and the Pelicans can't win a game. Yeah. So he'll jump immediately over those 2 teams. Then he's just got to, hold off some average teams. They're going to make the playoffs.
I think it's looking that way. Let's get to the phones. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. David is in Sacramento. Thinks Perloff and I are all wrong about this. What's up, David? How are you?
Hey, guys. Thanks a lot.
You got it. What do we have wrong about the NBA? We think the regular season's too long. What do you think?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I think most of the people that are surrounded by sports are being desensitized to only depend on superstars to be entertained. So I think it kind of lessens the ability of the rest of the teammates to be able to enjoy the sports for what it is. Because there's a lot of guys in the NBA that are talented, they just don't have the big name behind it. So I like to watch sports for what it is, not just because there's a certain name on the team. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you're right about that. Listen, not some are talented. They're all the most talented players in the world. But, David, I imagine you're calling from Sacramento. See, that's a great story this year, too. You know, the Sacramento Kings, and thank you for the call, who have been down and been a laughingstock and irrelevant since going back to the Peja, Chris Webber, Vlade days, Mike Bibby. And now they have, they're lighting the beam. They've got young guys. It's exciting.
Yeah, but the funny thing is they're number 3 seed right now. That could change quickly. But they have a star. I think De'Aaron Fox is a real star. And, I think Sabonis is not that far. Is he still there? Yes.
Yeah, they have they're star adjacent, but they're not like LeBron, Curry, Ja Morant level.
Well, first of all, Ja Morant's not LeBron. But how can you put those three
He's
together?
on his way.
No way.
Okay, well, we can debate that another time.
How's Ja Morant going to get to the you're talking about 2 multi-time NBA champions. Ja Morant, no way.
I think Ja...
Did they win a playoff series this year? I don't even know.
Yeah, you underestimate, I think, how popular he is. He's like
popular.
Yeah,
but
he's a superstar.
Right. But he's not in the same conversation with Steph Curry and he's not even in the same conversation with Zion, I don't think. I think Zion
Well, you want to talk about accomplishments. What's Zion accomplished?
But he's Zion. He's a viral video star. I don't think I think Ja's great, and he's a super highlight player. But anyway, I think the level star, I don't think De'Aaron Fox is that far behind Ja Morant. I think he's behind him. I think the media loves Ja Morant. But no, I think De'Aaron Fox is a big name. They were talking about him last night. No? Am I crazy?
I mean, listen, I remember him at Kentucky. He was fantastic. He's played on a team that's been irrelevant for his entire NBA career until this year.
Yeah, and he's scoring like 25 points a game. He's got a much, he came in with a bigger name than Ja Morant. No, is anyone into De'Aaron Fox? De'Aaron Fox also, I wanted the Sixers to trade for forever.
Yes, everyone wants De'Aaron Fox on their team.
Yeah.
But no. Ja Morant's
LeBron
way more
definitely.
famous.
Is there any video that you can remember being like, oh, De'Aaron Fox, like he's great, but like Ja Morant, there's a highlight, like he's more exciting.
Ja Morant's definitely more famous, but he's not. Would you say Ja Morant's in the conversation with LeBron and Steph Curry?
I'm just talking about, you're talking about star power.
Yeah, I don't think, I would bet you Grizzly games do not rate that high.
But if they do, I think it's because of Ja, not because of Dylan Brooks and because of Triple G.
But I also think on a national stage, if I'm watching a game and it's, the 27-32 LeBron Lakers, I'm watching Ja over LeBron right now.
I seriously doubt it. How many Grizzly games have you actually watched this year?
The same number as Laker games as I've watched.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
I mean, De'Aaron Fox didn't even get initially named an All-Star. He was an injury replacement, whereas Morant was an All-Star and then replaced Curry in the starting lineup as the star.
No, Morant's definitely bigger than Fox. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying I think De'Aaron Fox is a bit of a star. He's got a lot of name recognition.
He definitely does. I'm saying going back to college. Big Dave is in Kentucky. He knows a little something about De'Aaron Fox. What's up, Dave? How are you?
Doing well. Thank you guys so much. Let me say a couple of words. Let me search for words to describe the NBA right now. Oh, I've got a couple. It sucks. And I'll tell you why it sucks. It's not the quality of players or some of the most talented players in the league right now that there have ever been, but there's a disconnect between the league and a lot of the players' fan base. I mean, myself included. Listen, I used to be a junkie. So many players hopping around from team to team. Durant's done it twice now. LeBron's done it, trying to chase a championship. It seems like the team camaraderie aspect of the league is gone. I mean, I just think there's such a disconnect between fans and many of the players. Let me give you a prime example, a prime representation, in my opinion, of this. And let me mention also real quickly, one other thing is the fact that I think there's a big-ass elephant in the room as far as political posturing by the league and some of its players of recent, I think has added to the disconnect. But there was a couple talking heads on TV this morning that I happened to catch in passing. And the conversation was about LeBron never competing in the dunk contest. The question was posed, is that the case because he feels like that he has been shunned by the league early on, or because that he's afraid of getting beat. And, of course, they blew it off like he's not afraid of anybody. That's absolutely what it is. He's afraid of being beat. He's too much of an individual. That's one rare opportunity that he has to actually compete against someone one-on-one, head-to-head, and he's afraid of getting his ass beat.
You know, Dave, thanks for the phone call.
I know who he's talking about, by the way, and I've seen the same thing over the weekend. Stephen A. keeps saying that LeBron ruined the dunk contest because he's afraid to compete in it.
Okay, first of all, to be honest, I thought the dunk contest was one of the highlights of the weekend.
Yeah.
The Mac McClung, because it was the last thing we were expecting, is that this guy who's playing in a G League team who got asked to do this 5 minutes ago was not only going to come in and wow everybody with his dunks, but he nailed each dunk on the first try, which I think kept the momentum and kept the show going, and people like that. And let's be honest, like, there's a whole movie called White Men Can't Jump. So when you see a Mac McClung, it just wasn't what we were expecting from him. Okay, so you get
but the issue is LeBron a bit of, how do I say, a phony. I think that's the underlying people.
Oh, because he's afraid to lose.
He's afraid to lose, and also to, like, LeBron talks a lot, and sometimes he says things that don't make him sound great. It's just sometimes he sounds really good, sometimes he doesn't.
Anyone who's in the public eye, you're going to have good ones and bad ones, right?
Well, no, LeBron. I don't think LeBron has any equivalent. He's the modern Michael Jordan. He says so many things, and a lot of people have trouble with what LeBron says. A lot of people like what LeBron says. When he says something, it just takes on more meaning for the NBA.
No doubt. I mean, listen, Giannis said this in the bubble. We're doing what LeBron's doing. If are we going to play or are we not going to play? Like, we're all following his lead. Of course, he's got a lot of influence, no doubt about it. I think that the idea that he would be afraid to lose, I don't think he's afraid to lose necessarily. I think that he's afraid that he's built this whole thing, right? Been in the league 20 years, all-time leading scorer. People debate now till the cows come home. Was he as good? Is he as good as Michael Jordan? Like, that's a real debate that we can have. All of these things that he's done. You don't want to just be a meme if something goes wrong. And all of a sudden you do a crappy dunk or it doesn't live up to expectations or whatever. I just don't think he wants to get clowned. I think it's like a social media thing that, maybe it's he doesn't want to lose, but for all the things that LeBron has done for the league, is it really right to say, well, you've never competed in the dunk contest, therefore you're not giving back to the game? That's crap.
Well, who said that?
Well, that's the insinuation, right? That they ruined the dunk contest, like you're not giving back to the game because you're not competing.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, listen, John Morant followed suit and said, I'm never going to do the dunk contest.
Any of these guys could also stepped up and done it.
I don't know if he's going to get clowned. Honestly, what does LeBron need the dunk contest for? Mac McClung just won it. LeBron doesn't. We've got way past the point where the stars have to do it. I thought that was sort of ridiculous. But I watched this whole debate. I'm going to be totally honest.
Yeah.
Windhorst brought up an interesting point. LeBron was in the McDonald's dunk contest.
Oh, in high school.
And got schooled by, I wish I could remember this player's name. It was the most average NBA player, just completely destroyed him. It was sort of an Eddie House player. Wendy's, who has followed him since he was 17, said LeBron had a really bad experience.
Oh, so he's scarred by it, maybe.
Yeah, in a high school dunk contest, and that he's not that good at it.
Listen, those wounds from adolescence.
But this is all somewhat silliness. Like, why now LeBron's not going to do it? He can't compete with Mac McClung in G League. He's an all-time Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I know. Mac McClung in his 15 minutes of fame. This is impossible.
Was it Shannon Brown?
Shannon Brown, yeah. He's at Shannon Brown.
At least he was in the NBA for a long time.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty cool. I would love footage of the Shannon Brown versus LeBron.
Oh, I'm sure it's out there. But so here's the thing I think the dunk contest may have taught us this weekend, which is it doesn't have to be the stars. It can make stars. Mac McClung may never play in an NBA game. He could never appear for the Sixers from now for the rest of the season. He's going to get an invitation back to the dunk contest, and he's got a name for himself now because of this unique skill that he's got.
Yeah, but is it the same as Vince Carter?
Well, nothing's the same as Vince Carter, but I can't mourn something that also happened 20 years ago.
Right. That's my point. Even with Mac McClung.
A lot of time has passed since Vince Carter's dunks.
Right. There's never going to be, the dunk contest is never going to be like that where it really defines things. That was cool to watch, Mac McClung.
But it could elevate guys where now all of a sudden you are not a thing and now you could be a thing. Yeah. Like, that's cool. I'd take my opportunity if I was a young player in the league.
Absolutely.
I'd want to do it.
But I think as an NBA fan, it's not going to be the all-defining thing like Michael Jordan's free throw drunk or Vince Carter, whatever he did, or a couple other guys.
Kobe partook in the dunk contest and won.
Twice. He won 98 or won when he was young.
There's a certain level of, like, I understand, like, Ja not wanting to do it in LeBron, but, like,
Why would John not want to do it? John could
That's
fly.
why it was so fun. Dominique and Dr. J and MJ, like Vince Carter and Kobe, like that was fun to see the best players. And like they're the best players because they can jump higher and run faster and dunk better. You would think it would be interesting.
But I don't know if Ja was in there, are the ratings going up that much? I don't know. And I'm someone who loves Ja.
I'm certainly watching it more if Ja and LeBron and Zion are in it than and Mac McClung stole the show because he was so interesting and there was so many different sides of it that made it interesting about him. But outside of him, the dunk contest was terrible, and most dunk contests have been terrible outside of a few shining moments.
Yeah, the Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon thing, that was super fun. That was fine.
I mean, Blake Griffin and Dwight Howard, like there's been these stepping stones. It hasn't been dormant for 20 years.
Like Desmond Mason.
He was in a lot of dunk contests, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Was John Barry in one too?
And
well, that's
top
the
of your
thing.
head, who has the most dunk contest wins?
Top of my head.
Dominique.
Nate Robinson has 3 wins.
Oh, see, that's another thing with Nate, like Mac McClung, the short guy. You're not expecting it, and Nate can fly.
Yeah, but
He
you're
won it
expecting it for the
3
first one.
times?
The other 2. Yeah, he won it 3 times.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Nope.
What? Nate Robinson? Not a
Brown
good
versus Sean Kemp. That was amazing. I missed that.
Now the Nate Robinson meme, unfortunately for him, was when he decided to go in the boxing ring. That wasn't good. Nice guy.
Yeah.
855-212-4CBS.
Well, Mac McClung, I agree totally. Sorry, Mac McClung was definitely noteworthy. That was cool. That was a great save for the dunk contest.
It was the same. You get the feeling, do you think the NBA just got lucky with that one?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Well, the other thing also is you see a lot of these guys on like TikTok, YouTube, and out on the streets, like doing all these different videos, doing incredible, insane, fun dunks. Why don't the NBA guys do that? Maybe they don't want to get hurt, but like maybe bring out these other guys who can do these crazy. Maybe the dunk contest should be NBA versus everyone else. And just see some of these other guys go out there and just do crazy fun dunks.
Oh, it's just like YouTube stars and people like that?
Because you see some of these dunks that you see online, and they're insane.
Yeah, but no NBA player is going to sign up for that. Just like no NBA player would pick somebody out of the crowd to go one-on-one with them. What happens if you lose? Then you
but nobody's signing up for it anywhere right now.
I'd rather have Mac McClung. I think he's at least on a 2-way contract.
Yeah. I would like to. DK Metcalf was throwing it down in the celebrity game. That was pretty good. I'd like to see him in there.
Did you see between DK Metcalf had the celebrity game where he was MVP?
Yeah.
And he had that video from last week where he jumped super, super high.
Or, we still don't know for sure. Was that Photoshop?
And then he got drug tested.
Yeah. Was that fake or not? Have we figured it out?
I assume it was fake.
I assumed it was fake too, but I have no idea. You don't get drug test for a fake video, do you?
Do you get drug tested if you become the MVP of the celebrity game? Come on, NFL. Lighten up.
My former nemesis had a big game too. Alan Toussaint, the famed Peloton instructor who used to be my Saturday morning run, was balling out again.
You have like a real grudge against this guy.
Yeah, because he was not super fun in our Saturday run. But, I was watching the celebrity game. I was watching, I'm like, who is that older gentleman? He's a bit pudgy at the foul line. Must be a rapper. It looks a little like DJ Khaled. Nope. That was Albert Pujols. I'm sorry. I love Albert Pujols, but he did not look like he was in tip-top shape for that game.
Listen, if you can't gain 20, 30 pounds when you retire, when can you gain it?
Yeah, I don't know that he didn't gain that before he retired either. That baseball uniform is a little less revealing than the NBA, but it was fun to see him.
855-212-4CBS. Is that DJ Khaled? No, it's one of the greatest baseball players of all time. 855-212-4CBS. Greatest hitters. Okay, coming up. See you guys on the phones. We'll get to your calls about the NBA All-Star Game. Also coming up, we do have crazy report coming out of Dallas. What is going on? What are we supposed to do with this? Turns out they find one quarterback in the draft intriguing. Okay, we'll get to that in just a minute. Don't move. We've got a CBS Sports update for you. Here's Rich Ackerman.
Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with their easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. NFL.com. It's a quiet week for the NBA following this weekend's All-Star festivities. Action does not resume until Thursday. The Clippers are healthy and finished the first half with back-to-back wins and now getting another boost. 9-time All-Star Russell Westbrook reportedly going to join the team after being bought out by the Jazz. The Clippers currently in the 4th spot in the Western Conference. Houston is back in the top spot in the AP Top 25 for the 3rd time this season. Alabama is 2nd in this week's poll, followed by Kansas, UCLA, and Purdue. Northwestern and Texas A&M are new to the top 25 this week. There's one game tonight involving a pair of teams in the top 25 as Kansas on the road at TCU. The Jayhawks looking for their 5th straight win after knocking off 9th-ranked Baylor. Hockey this afternoon, a pair of games right now in the 3rd. The Bruins lead the Senators by a score of 3-1. David Pastrnak with a pair of goals. He now has 41. Ducks and Panthers are now tied at 3 late 3rd. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, this is DA. CBS Sports Radio has moved to Sirius XM Channel 158, or listen to us on your local affiliate. Find your station at Odyssey.com/stations.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To Ask the Pros, where you can ask us a question. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply check out the link, cbssportsradio.com/askthepros, or tweet your question at CBS Sports Radio using the hashtag AskThePros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. We got to get to some NFL news in just a little bit, but first, our buddy Mark is in Miami, wants to talk about the NBA All-Star Game. Mark, you're a diehard NBA fan. Did you like this or not?
The All-Star Game, I think it is for what it is. It's for younger people. It's just a showcase, and I thought overall the weekend was pretty solid. I'm more of a Saturday guy. I thought Mac McClung. I'd love to see more guys like him and these street ballers who can do incredible things. 5'9", 5'10" guys who can get up and dip like him. I would love to see that. I thought the 3-point shootout with Dame Lillard winning on the final shot was incredible. But I got to disagree with you guys overall. As a guy who's got skin in the game, so I do spend money as a season ticket holder for the Heat and Dolphins. I see a lot of these teams come in, and I find myself thoroughly enjoyed when I go to the arena. When they're talking about load management, you're specifically talking about one guy. You're talking about the mute over there in L.A., and Kawhi's in his own world. I don't think anybody knows what he's thinking because he never talks. So single him out, and you look at the Clippers, what success have they had doing all the load management? I think overall, when you look at the competitive balance, I think it's as good as it's ever been. And you can make a case for about probably 10 teams this year. The West is, I don't know who, 6-7 teams maybe in the East, 4 teams. I hope my Heat get it together. But I just think overall, I think the play is as great as it's been. And I think the season does matter, especially for teams that want to compete for the championships. And you see what Boston and Milwaukee and the Philly and Cavs, and hopefully my Heat get their act together, competing, try to get that home court. I think home court is so critical in the NBA playoffs to win it. So that's why I disagree with your take on that.
Wait, Mark, if you buy, you say it's just Kawhi. What if you bought Steph Curry tickets and he's missed a bunch of road games? And that's the one. That's the 2 tickets. The Warriors and Lakers are most expensive because I've tried to buy them for Philly. That would be such a bummer.
For veterans like those guys who have wear and tear, I think occasionally, I think if you're going to do that, you're going to do that at home. But when you're talking about across the league, it's the Clippers, it's Kawhi, I think, who's missed nearly half the season. But I don't think any other team of players has come close to LeBron is a special case because he's 20 years in, and guys like Curry, who's injured right now. But I just think it's the low management thing is specifically one guy, and I think the media and such are making big deal of it. Like in Miami here with the Heat, they don't practice that here. It's like you better, if you're healthy, suppose like you're going to get out there and play.
But Mark has to deal with 2 things, and Mark, always appreciate you weighing in. It's not just load management. Mark lives in Miami as a Heat season ticket holder. He has to also deal with the South Beach flu. Which that is, brutal. Don't want to play with that. But here's the thing. Are we talking about Kawhi? Are we talking about LeBron James? We're also talking about guys who are working their way back from injury who are just not going to push it. Like, beginning of this season, and Kyrie Irving's not playing on back-to-backs. You know that he's not playing on back-to-backs. What do you think it's going to look like when Kevin Durant comes back from his knee injury? Do you think all of a sudden he's just going to play in every single game? Of course he's not. And listen, this is part of us just getting smarter. The teams are getting smarter. They know when to push it, when not to push it, and ultimately you want to save everything for the postseason.
Right. I think that's built into the Kyrie and KD cost. So I don't think I think you know that a little more. It's a little different.
But as a fan, I mean.
Yeah, I think missing you pay a lot for a Steph game and a LeBron game. I'm not sure you're going to have to pay through the roof for Phoenix tickets to see KD and then get disappointed. I don't
know. I bet that's a tough ticket. KD's one of the best players in the league.
Should the NBA or the teams give percentage discounts if a certain star player load manages?
I mean, listen, no good business ever became a good business by giving back money.
Well,
so
yeah, but I mean,
you buy the ticket months in advance. You're not going to give back money.
No, I guess you're not. But I do think that they should address this load management. By the way, Kevin Love to the Heat. I am not a huge Kevin Love at this point of his career. I really wanted him on the Sixers, and I don't even know why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Solid analysis.
It was choosy between the Heat and the Sixers, and it came down to yesterday. He chose the Heat. That's a guy who the Sixers could totally use. A pro's pro, an old guy.
You got no pros? You got PJ Tucker. He's the ultimate pro's pro old guy.
Yeah, but he can't shoot.
He starts.
Kevin Love can shoot. So I don't know. I feel like every team needs to have shooters. Miami, I don't know why he's going down there. What's the point? Is he retiring to Miami?
Everyone else does. It's God's waiting room.
Anyway, I was disappointed about that.
To Tony, who's in Toronto. Tony, what's up, dude?
Hi, guys. I prefer the NBA, the old-timers, the Michael Jordan, Kobe, Dr. J, Magic, Bird. This is how I feel about sports, and maybe even more so with the NBA. Players in the old days, the old school, the veterans here from the past, the old guard, whatever the terminology you want to use.
Yeah, we got it.
They played basketball because it was their passion and their drive, their end goal.
Tony, I think you're going down a slippery slope here, my friend. I think you are.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think you guys are believing in this fallacy of we're brighter and smarter today. No,
but Tony, you don't think LeBron James loves basketball? Whatever you want to say about him, you might not like everything about him. Do you think he likes basketball?
I didn't mention LeBron James. Just follow me here. The new players of today, I believe they play basketball to achieve a different goal, and that's to be a celebrity and a socialite and go to all the parties and all the clubs, and they don't even care as much, in my opinion.
I know, but Tony, see, again, I got to push back because who was one of the most social, biggest marketed stars in the history of the NBA? Magic Johnson. You couldn't say that he didn't love basketball, but he also was a celebrity who's out there, everything.
Wait, Tony, what players are you talking about? Because a lot of the young stars are kind of lame. Like Jason Tatum doesn't go out, and none of these guys.
They don't want to be
these young guys are trying to go to the club.
Are you telling me that these players that play now, collectively, don't isolate one? You can't make it, look at this guy, he does this. Look at it as a whole. You're telling me this class, this generation of players, had the dedication and the drive that the players in the, let's say, 70s, 80s, and 90s that I watch more of the basketball.
I think a lot of the young guys do.
I think they do. Tony, thanks for the call. I think they do.
I think there are a lot of James Hardens, but they're not the young guys. The young guys are coming in pretty tough. John Morant, Jason Tatum. I'm not sure who the clubbers are. I mean, I think Harden.
Obviously Harden. I mean, his jersey got retired at a strip club.
He's 33.
And he's gotten paid 3 times over at this point.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, who are the young guys that fit in that, hey, I'm just here for the flash?
Well, we have heard a little bit about, there were some rumors about the Memphis Grizzlies, how they needed like a little bit more of a veteran in the room because it's all just a very young team.
Yeah, but Ja Morant isn't exactly dating Kardashian.
No, it's not about Ja Morant. No, that was Devin Booker, who's one of the most, lockdown guys.
Well, Dylan Brooks is one of the most eccentric players in the NBA. That's a whole different animal.
There was a no-show game in L.A. that apparently was the day after one of their birthdays. So everyone thought, well, were you busy out celebrating a birthday or were you really focusing on basketball? That's where it comes from. So, I mean, we're grasping here. I think these guys are just as motivated today. 855-2124-CBS. Turn our attention to the Dallas Cowboys next. They're intrigued by a quarterback. Which one? We'll tell you in a minute.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The treadmill is a go. I'm having some issues with the desk, but I walked for 7 glorious minutes, which doesn't bode well for Perloff saying I'm never going to use this treadmill.
The treadmill will never work. How could you possibly enjoy the football games when you're on a treadmill, Maggie?
I was walking at a high speed. I was checking out the levels, but I'm not going to sit on my butt for 12 hours straight.
You are going to sit on your butt for 12 hours straight. Cut to week 7. You're just going to be sitting there. There's going to be nacho cheese dripping down your face, and
They'll be eating the nachos on
balancing the nachos on your stomach as we do on the couch. You'll be like, oh yeah, there's the treadmill. I forgot about that thing 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
By the time Dak Prescott gets back on the field, there will be shirts hanging on that treadmill. No exercise will be done on it. I guarantee.
Here are Maggie and Perloff.
So glad to have you on this President's Day Monday. Hope wherever you are, you had a fantastic weekend filled with, I don't know, watching the NBA All-Star festivities, a little hockey, maybe waiting for Aaron Rodgers to emerge from his darkness retreat, see his shadow scurry back in. No clue what's going on. But I was surprised by this one, Perloff. And it's come to us courtesy of the Dallas Cowboys. Shall we get to it? Here's a little Cowboy Quickie for you. Okay, this one was a little surprising. SI.com has like special fan sites devoted to each fan base, fan nation. Mike Fisher has covered the Cowboys for a long time, since the 90s, writes for this site. He's reporting today that an NFL source told CowboysSI.com that the Cowboys are, quote-unquote, intrigued by Ohio State quarterback CJ Stroud. The source says, I don't know about the how, like how it gets Dallas, but Dallas is absolutely intrigued by Stroud. Now, what are we supposed to do with this information? Because obviously the person wants this out there. So Dak Prescott is actually in line for a contract extension. Could help with some cap situations too. Could just be smart business. We got Jerry saying that, you know, he wants Mike McCarthy to coach as long as Tom Landry and wanted Dak Prescott to retire a Cowboy. But CJ Stroud is like a, if not play now, play very soon. He's not like a developmental guy. He's someone who maybe sits for a year, half a season at the most, and probably not at all. And he could be the second quarterback taken off the board. How in the heck are the Dallas Cowboys going to be in play at all for CJ Stroud? And is that a good allocation of their draft resources?
What are we talking about here? Yeah, I mean, listen, the Philadelphia Eagles would like Jalen Carter of Georgia. But guess what? They're not going to get him in the draft.
Well, are they intrigued by him, though? Because
I don't even know what this headline means. The Cowboys draft 27th, and Stroud, according to all mock drafts, has gone by 5. So they're going to trade up 22 spots to get C.J. Stroud with what?
It would cost you drafts from now to Kingdom Come to get that high up.
Unless you think the Texans really want Dak Prescott. I'm not sure. Maybe that's what this is about.
You want to throw Dak Prescott into like a total rebuild?
Well, I think they're 90% rebuild. They do have some talented young players. No, it's not, I'm talking about from the Dallas perspective.
Yeah.
How are they going to get up for Stroud? What do they have?
I don't know. Yeah, you'd have to start throwing players into trades like that. And I don't know why the Cowboys, they should be only trying to add to the roster right now. You can't be taking things away.
Yeah, no, it's a weird fit. It's a little hard to buy. Yeah, they're intrigued by him, but...
What does it mean?
Yeah, I mean, back in my single days, I was intrigued by Gisele Bundchen.
Yeah. Was she intrigued by you?
Most certainly not. And I, unless I'm completely missing something, Stroud falls for reasons we have no idea why. This is a non-starter, right?
That is your Cowboys Quickie.
I do like this idea. When the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round, they had Carson Wentz. I like the idea of getting a second-round quarterback for Dallas, somebody who could pressure Prescott, maybe be available when his contract runs out in a reasonable way, or be a good backup. I do not like this idea of mortgaging everything to get up in the top 5.
It's bizarre, unless somehow, you're right, unless they're looking to trade Prescott, which I don't think they are. I mean,
and I'm not sure Prescott has that kind of value because someone has to pay him a ton.
Well, like I think he has value. Listen, if Derek Carr has value, I think that Dak Prescott has value. definitely.
So
Daniel Jones is looking for $45 million.
Yeah,
Somebody's
right.
going to pay Dak.
Definitely.
But also the other thing is they don't feel like they're ready to start a rookie and get rid of Dak completely. If that's your only way to get up there.
It feels like we have our cake and want to eat it too situation.
Okay, how about this scenario?
Yeah.
Remember last year, all these quarterbacks were in the top 10 of the mock drafts?
Yeah.
Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, Kenny Pickett, who actually did go in the first round. What if this is all smokescreens and none of the quarterbacks who we think are going to go in the top 10 are actually going in the top 10, and a guy like CJ Stroud falls a little lower? Then, if that's true, then that is much more intriguing.
Okay, I mean, considering the career that CJ Stroud has had,
right,
and considering how he looked in the college football playoff, do you think he's falling?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I mean, Haskins had a better career, and he went 15.
Yeah, and Haskins, may he rest in peace, didn't end up panning out very much as an NFL quarterback. Listen, is it possible they drop and maybe Dallas is just sort of, waiting in the wings? But if so, why would this source want to get this out now? Unless it's to screw over Dallas, and create headlines and, create some agita with Dak or whatever.
It's February. It's complete. The beginning of lying season in the NFL. Who knows? I think it's really hard to figure out what's real.
But again, I want to make sure we're smart about this. This is not Twitter user 5789.
Right.
This is Mike Fisher, who's covered the team for a long time.
But reports, lying season is what GMs get out to reporters, things that they want to say that are completely fake. This could be somebody trying to get at Dak, but it could mean a million things. It's really hard to interpret these reports. The other thing, too, is it just doesn't seem realistic. CJ Stroud, who's 21 years old, he doesn't really fit where Dallas, Jerry Jones is 81. Is he going to rebuild at quarterback right now?
The other part, too, is I understand that Prescott threw a lot of interceptions at the end of the season. He looked great against Tampa and then looked terrible against San Francisco.
But so did Hurts didn't look good against San Francisco either. Jalen Hurts.
I don't think that what we saw from Prescott, you either think he's a winner at this point and can lead you to a Super Bowl or you don't. I don't think we're at a place where Dak Prescott is all of a sudden going to get so much better or so much worse. I think he just is who he is. So if the Cowboys are going to move on, maybe they feel like someone else has a higher ceiling. Because Prescott, again, beyond the interceptions at the end of the season, which did not really impact their playoff standings at all, the Eagles were winning that division going away. Did they really kill you? No. I mean, I think by all accounts, he put together a pretty good season.
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly a letdown from last year where he was...
Why they lost in the second round this time as opposed to the first.
Well, last year his individual season was remarkable.
Yeah.
He had gigantic numbers the year before. These interceptions came out of nowhere. That actually is a little weird. He's never been an interception quarterback his whole life.
I don't think that all of those interceptions were on him either. We talked about guys dropping passes.
Also, they got rid of Amari Cooper and didn't bring in anyone. So to me, CJ Stroud signals rebuild, and I can't see the Cowboys ever rebuilding. So Jerry does like his shiny objects, and maybe he will get a quarterback, but feels weird. Do you think it's possible that there's a really big-name quarterback left over by the 20s? I've been reading mock drafts all day, every day.
I know.
And all the quarterbacks are gone by 8. They're all gone by 8 or 9.
Well,
CJ Stroud is not falling below 6 in any mock draft.
Yeah, but that's also a good way to get people to read your mock draft.
Yeah, do you put the quarterbacks in there? Well, they used to underrate the quarterbacks, and they'd all fly. Baker Mayfield was not a top 5 pick in any mock draft.
Yeah.
And then it turned out the NFL thought differently. Now they go now it's swung too far. So I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to make of CJ Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young. I don't know what to make of any of it. So maybe Dallas gets lucky.
Do you think this is a where there's smoke, there's fire?
No.
Do you think this is the Cowboys have been thinking about this for a while? Maybe they feel they've seen Dak's ceiling and they need somebody who they think will have a higher ceiling.
I wish I could bet on CJ Stroud not wearing the star next year. If there was a market for that, I feel very confident putting a lot of money on it.
I don't know if you can get odds on that specifically, but
yeah, I just don't think this is happening. Do you?
I don't, but there's something to the timing of this too. If the Cowboys were really looking at CJ Stroud, you don't put this out now. We haven't even gone to the combine yet. We're not even into draft season.
Could there
fully.
just be a ploy about their negotiations with
Dak?
Dak's, extension?
Great. So you want to tick him off? Like, I'd love to go on an extension with.
It's just about like, yeah.
I like that one.
We can look elsewhere. We have the draft capital.
Like, if you play hardball with us, then we're gonna go draft your replacement.
An extension, but you're gonna have to take like a big time per year pay cut.
There's no way they're asking him to make. There's no way they're asking him to take a pay cut. This isn't your.
Well, no. I mean, if they extend him, he's probably gonna take less per year, so it's less of a hit against the cap.
Yeah, but they'll get all the money.
Yeah.
I don't think you ask quarterbacks to take pay cuts. You ask linebackers and safeties to take pay cuts, right? People don't ask. They ask running backs to take pay cuts.
The problem is the Cowboys do a terrible job of negotiating because they laud their players in the public. Like Stephen Jones, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. We can't wait to give him more money and extend him for the next 10 years. Dak's agents are like, yes, give me more.
I think the thing with the Cowboys and Dak is they want to make sure they have that out with the extension. I don't think they want to get stuck with Dak longer. You know what I'm saying? I know they do. They definitely want to extend him to get that cap number down so they could do something this year.
Yeah.
But they don't want 8 years of Dak. That's just a lie. They want to at least have flexibility, I'd imagine.
I would think so. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Know you got a lot of Cowboys fans out there. You read this. Are you now intrigued? Like, maybe CJ Stroud. Maybe the future is coming a little sooner than any of us thought. I mean, you think about it with Prescott. It all kind of snowballed, right? You take him in a late round. Romo gets hurt. He steps in. He's excellent. And then remember, that was a contentious contract negotiation once Romo retired. And it was, we want him for 5 years. He only wanted 4, whatever it was. Dak ends up going to the multiple franchise tags. Then he gets hurt. Then they realize, we really need this guy because look at the alternative. Then he gets paid. It's like it all just sort of snowballed, one thing on top of the other. And before you know it, Dak Prescott's been your quarterback for like the last 7 years.
Yeah, but
6 years.
They love him, though. I mean, Jerry loves him. How about a Hendon Hooker who needs a year or two? Let him sit under Dak and create a Dak situation.
Yeah.
Draft somebody in the second, third, or fourth round who turns to be the next. Romo was undrafted. So Jerry thinks he can win with lower round quarterbacks. I don't know why he would move up. Find the next Dak Prescott. That's a great philosophy. Easier said than done.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Of course, you can listen to us across the country on CBS Sports Radio. We are also streaming live, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Two-Ton Tony saying, no, they're not going to trade up that high, of course. Thomas L., how much did the Cowboys sink into Dak? The only way drafting a top quarterback works is if they move Dak. Could that be possible? Get involved in the chat. Nick in Texas, you saw how replaceable Dak was when his backup came in and won games, which is good thought there by Nick when Cooper Rush came in and they what 4-1?
Yeah, didn't they win games like 22-7?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really relevant. But they should definitely get a late round quarterback, don't you? I love investing in late round quarterbacks or mid round.
That's how they got Dak.
Yeah, that's how the Eagles got Jalen Hurts. And
second round's not late round.
Right.
Late round, I think, is
for
fourth
a quarterback, though. After the first round is a different thing. I'm always investing in the quarterback room. You look at the teams that were in the Super Bowl this year. Kansas City had a Pro Bowler in Alex Smith, and they drafted a quarterback. The Eagles had a Pro Bowler in Carson Wentz, and they drafted a quarterback. Yeah. Just throw resources at the quarterback, which the Cowboys should do.
Mr. Irrelevant, they end up needing him.
Yeah, they drafted a quarterback after having Trey Lance. Now, that being said, I don't think they're going to get as high as CJ Stroud. If they do, maybe we're both wrong and they figure out a way. But they should think of, hey, we probably can't get Stroud. Who do we get in here? I like that for the Cowboys.
855-212-4227. Get involved. We will talk about Derek Carr's big weekend with the Jets. We'll do that coming up. Of course, your phone calls on the Cowboys are always welcome. And another quarterback who could be hitting the market faster than we thought. Who is it? We'll explain to you. Don't move. More Maggie and Perloff right after this.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back on Maggie and Perloff. So, Maggie, I was watching football highlights this weekend, or what off-season stories. No, I actually did not watch a lot of that. I'm going to have to do a crash course next week. So there's a photo out there of Derek Carr with Robert Saleh and the Jets brass at a New Jersey restaurant. I immediately thought of you.
Yeah. I
almost expected to see you in the background walking along the sidewalk.
I know.
Are you familiar with this restaurant?
Yes. So according to Internet Sleuths, I think it's this place called Fiorino in Summit, New Jersey, which is about 15 minutes from where I live.
Oh, my gosh.
I didn't think that's where they were going to go. I thought they'd go someplace a little closer to Florham Park, which is the facility. But I take my kid, who's 3.5. We don't eat at this fancy Italian restaurant. We go around the corner and eat at the Peppercorn Diner in Summit, New Jersey. Free shout out. We have a great time. Loves the pancakes there. So, yes, I'm familiar with that whole area. Very, very fancy city in New Jersey.
And it's a little bit south, too, right? It's not right on top of the city. Because I think
New York City.
Yeah.
No, it's like an hour away from New York City.
I think that's
45 minutes.
important because Derek Carr does not seem like a New York City kind of guy.
This will not feel like New York City at all. This feels like just more suburban, but kind of fancy suburbs, like really nice stores. But it feels it's not too commercial. It's like a lot of locally owned stuff, and Summit's fantastic. Eli Manning lives in Summit. Give you a little sense.
Oh, I thought he lived in Hoboken.
He moved to Summit.
Okay.
Yep.
So that begs the question.
We talked about it. No, I'm just kidding.
Here's a realistic issue with the Jets. Yeah. They could try and sign Derek Carr right now, but that means they'll be out of the running for Aaron Rodgers, who may or may not be coming out of his darkness retreat any moment now.
Yeah.
So if you're the Jets, Maggie, are you going to jump on Derek Carr? I know you opined on this last week. Or do you at least have to wait and see what is happening with the Packers and Aaron Rodgers?
No. If I'm the New York Jets, who my best quarterback played during the black and white TV era, I am jumping onto Derek Carr, and I am not letting him out of the building. I know there's things about him in the cold weather, and I understand it, but I'll work with that because this will be one of the best quarterbacks I've had in the history of my franchise, walking in day one before he's ever taken a snap. He's not that old. He's in his early 30s. He can run this West Coast offense, Perloff, and you've got a great defense, top 5 defense with the Jets, and you've got great skill position players. He can be a good leader. I'm not worried. Listen, who knows with Rodgers? This could play out 1,000,001 different ways. You got reports now coming out of Green Bay that he didn't want to do the offseason program last year in Green Bay, didn't show up in shape, didn't seem like he was dialed in. Now, listen, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm sure Rodgers would call it BS. But I'm now bringing in Rodgers with all of his quirks. Yes, the pedigree for sure. But it's not like he's going to be sitting around. We know he's not going to dinner with the young guys. Romeo Dobbs told us that. So what am I really getting here with Rodgers if I bring him into the Jets? Am I getting someone who's fully bought in or somebody who wants $60 million before they decide, okay, now I can retire and go off and, live with a shaman somewhere? Like, Derek Carr, I think, still has a chip on his shoulder, wants to make something of his career. I don't know what Rodgers' motivation is right now.
But what are you getting with Derek Carr? First of all, if Daniel Jones wants $45 million a year, how much do you have to pay Derek Carr?
Well, if I'm the Jets, I'm probably trying to I'll pay higher average annual if I can get a shorter term deal.
Right, but you're competing against the entire NFC South, so you're going to have to pay market value. He's really on the market, and we saw what happened with Deshaun Watson.
That's true.
You're going to pay a huge premium to get Derek Carr in for what?
Well,
10-7, 11-6.
10-7. Oh my gosh, the Jets would love 10-7.
What are you're basically saying? If you get Derek Carr, you're saying we're okay. We just want to be good. If you're getting Aaron Rodgers, you're saying at least we're taking a flyer that we're going to be great.
But it might only be a year.
That's fine. Then start over. With Derek Carr, you're stuck in that for a while.
What if I get 3 years out of Derek Carr? I'd rather do that, bring these younger guys along, than one flash in the pan year. We saw about teams that go all in. Your Philadelphia Eagles went all in. We saw the Rams.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works.
All in is Aaron Rodgers, right?
Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, if it doesn't work, what's the downside?
Now you got to start over again, and where do you go? Back to the market? Do you go to the draft at that point? Now you're too far along with the rest of the team probably to bring someone in from the draft, and you're not going to be bad enough to get a quarterback high in the draft.
Basically, if you pay big money to Derek Carr this year, you're kind of stuck where you are. You're going to be good in the AFC, maybe.
Yeah.
You're going to be average. I mean, Derek Carr has not had any. He's won one playoff game.
Yeah, right.
Or I think, has he won one playoff game? Or he's played in one playoff game. Anyway, he's done nothing with the Raiders. So I like him. I think he's good. But I think you're basically saying, you know what? We don't need to compete for a Super Bowl. If you have Aaron Rodgers, you could have that Tom Brady to the Bucs year. You could have that Brett Favre to the Vikings year. At least that's a possibility. At least you're taking a shot. Otherwise, when are the Jets ever going to get to the Super Bowl? Don't Jets fans want to dream big?
Well, the Jets got to 2 AFC championship games with Mark Sanchez because they had a good defense and a good run game. Like, I think that if I'm a Jets fan, I can sell myself on we can make the playoffs with Derek Carr, and then let's see what happens from there. I have great defense that can shut down or neutralize Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Like, my defense is going to take care of the quarterback on the other side. Do I have a quarterback? The biggest problem with the Jets this year was the offense was non-existent, despite the fact that you had the offensive rookie of the year who caught over 1,100 yards, receiving yards from 3 different quarterbacks. You just need to get into the end zone a lot more. Derek Carr running a West Coast Nate Hackett offense, he can get you into the end zone.
Oh, man. What are the Super Bowl odds with Derek Carr compared to Aaron Rodgers? They're dramatically lower forever. You're not getting out of the AFC. You are not taking a trip to the Super Bowl, Jets fans, if you have Derek Carr. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to beat out Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, etc., Joe Burrow. It's not going to happen. Your dream is over.
I got to be honest. Packers haven't been to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers since 2010. It's not like they're racking up all these Super Bowl appearances.
That's because they can't stop the run or run the ball consistently. Basically, the Niners have run them out of every playoffs. I think Rodgers is worth a flyer, and I think you're in better shape in 2 years if Rodgers flames out than if you're stuck with Derek Carr for 4 or 5 years.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, Salah's gone. Probably Joe Douglas is gone. If Rodgers does not work, you have a whole new regime, and you're starting over. And who knows? Maybe you're the Bengals. At some point, you just can't be consistently mediocre to good. What are you doing? You're going to be in limbo for a long time if you're the Jets.
Okay, I would ask a Jets fan who we have here, would you rather have Derek Carr, which could, I don't want to say guarantee you playoffs, but I would say Derek Carr, who
gives you a shot at the playoffs.
I think you're making the playoffs. So 7 teams, I think you're making the playoffs with Derek Carr, and with a shot at the outside shot at the Super Bowl, or would you rather take a flyer on Rodgers, who, by the way, is also going to be super expensive? So it's not like he's coming in and playing for Tom Brady $20 million. He's going to play for $60 million.
Right, but he's a lot shorter term than Derek Carr.
And you get 2 years, 2 bites at the apple, basically, if you're lucky, where Rodgers is 39 and 40. And then you might have to end up in a 2-win season.
Well, let's ask the Jets fan.
It's not even a question for me. You don't win outside of like a few small anomalies like Trent Dilfer and Rob Johnson, you don't win Super Bowls with Derek Carr. You win Super Bowls with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen.
Brad Johnson.
Yeah, see, so unremarkable that I don't remember his first name. The reality is you're not going to win a Super Bowl with Derek Carr. Like, could you possibly go 10-7 and go on a run like they did with the Mark Sanchez? Yeah, sure, but you don't want to count on that. The way I look at it is...
You just went 7-10. Derek Carr puts you at 10-7.
Right, that's what I'm saying. 10-7 and potentially going on a run doesn't sound like something that is long term, like what Perloff is saying. You're going to be stuck in limbo for years. You're not going to be good enough to win a Super Bowl. You're not going to be bad enough to get good enough picks to really improve your team. Here's the way I look at it. Sign Rodgers short term. If he retires after a year or two, then go after Lamar Jackson next year. Or there's going to be a variety of big-time quarterbacks who are going to be available in 2 or 3 years. Maybe Tua is going to be available in 2 years. Maybe Dak Prescott will be available in 2 years. So at the end of the day, go with Rodgers now, get a year or two of elite quarterback play, try to win a Super Bowl, and if not, then you reset after a year or two.
2 questions. Did Aaron Rodgers look elite last year?
He looked more elite than Derek Carr.
Yeah, towards the second half of the year, yes.
Secondly, it's not just about the money cost with Rodgers. It's also going to be about draft picks, and they're going to be first-rounders. And the Jets, how have the Jets built whatever they've built now, 7-10, and an offensive and defensive rookie of the years? It's because they were fleecing other people for draft picks. Now you're the one who's going to get fleeced for draft picks. So even if Rodgers doesn't work out, and then you've got to go to your plan B, those picks might be in Green Bay.
I would normally agree with you, but part of the issue is because the Jets have done so well with their draft picks, they have such a young, inexperienced team that they've gained from those great drafts. Maybe it's time to bring in a veteran. Even if you lose a couple of those draft picks, bring in a couple veterans.
Carr's just money. Aaron Rodgers
he's also just average.
Well, I mean, what's Rodgers going to be at 39?
Way better than Derek Carr.
Well, Rodgers, of course, is way better than Derek Carr, but we were watching games with Rodgers. What happened against the Lions at the end of the season? Last game, you're playing for the playoffs. Couldn't get in.
Yeah, the Lions never gave the ball back to him, for one thing. And Rodgers did not have a lot of weapons this year. I think you can't ignore that. I know Watson got better at the end of the year. I think that was a tough situation in Green Bay.
He had a robust run game.
They invested nothing in the wide. They were the cheapest wide receiver room in the NFL. It was a bit of a tough spot. I'm willing to give him a pass.
But Rodgers doesn't like throwing to young receivers. What's on the Jets? It's not veteran guys over there.
It's a dream team compared to the crew he had in Green Bay. Yeah, I know. Maybe that's not ideal either. But I just don't know. I agree. The Derek Carr thing, you're going to be good. But what's the big upside? And the problem is, if he was in the NFC, if you put the Jets with Derek Carr in the NFC, I'm totally good with
Problem solved.
Problem solved. That's sort of what I'm getting at.
Okay.
How are they going to get out of the AFC with this crew? It's going to be really hard. Derek Carr, and we haven't had the Derek Carr fan, Stu, weigh in.
Yeah.
Derek Carr just is not, it's hard to envision him winning at the highest level.
Yeah, I don't see it. If the Raiders end up with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets end up with Derek Carr, I'll be happy because I think the Raiders upgraded a quarterback this offseason.
Right.
If the Jets were in the NFC with Derek Carr, I think that the Eagles would have a real challenger on their hands. But that doesn't mean anything for the AFC.
Yeah, they could be playing the NFC Championship game against the Lions.
And honestly, I'm just looking at all the teams and potential quarterbacks who could be available over the next 2 or 3 years. I mean, you think about, like, the 49ers got to get rid of one of their guys, whether it's Lance or Purdy, right? You have Justin Fields might be eventually, maybe not next year, but
they're
in
both
2
cheap,
years.
so it doesn't matter.
Right. And so, like, maybe they don't have to get rid of it, but, I mean, if they can get assets out of it, there's a lot of teams that have guys who are potentially going to be available in 2 years. So why go all in on Derek Carr when you have potential for next year?
Wait, one more quick counter.
Yeah.
Don't you think a team that's a little even emptier cupboard than the Jets, what about a Tampa Bay or New Orleans or Carolina or an Atlanta? Not that they all fit. I think those are actually, Carr might like those situations because there's lower expectations. You can build a team. You can commit to him for a little longer. Because in New York, the coach is almost on his way out. There's an immediate desire for success with Carr. If I'm Carr, I'm a little bit tempted by the NFC South and how easy it is to sort of get out of that division. So I think that's a real factor in this too.
So the one thing about that, and this could change this week, I have no idea, but have you heard of Carr meeting besides the Saints who were first on him?
Oh, well, the Panthers and Carr have been rumored.
Panthers and Carr, okay. But haven't seen him. It's not like he's headed on the private jet from New Jersey down to Charlotte.
Well, he's met with 2 teams.
Right. Do we know that he's going to be meeting with Carolina this week and then Atlanta the next week, right?
I assume that he's going to try and get a little market going.
I think so. I'm just saying.
I mean, Carolina makes a lot of sense, too. I think those are real good.
But Carolina's picking top 10. If they might want a quarterback.
Could be.
They might want CJ Stroud. Who knows?
Could absolutely be. But, David Tepper's one to win now. It's complicated. I think Carr is not. He didn't walk away with a contract.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be other tempting situations for him. Man, he's going to want to get in the NFC, Maggie. He's going to want to win the division.
I get it.
In year 1.
I get it.
I mean, New Orleans has great food. I understand Summit has a nice little restaurant here.
It did. It's a very nice.
But you could pay me in food in New Orleans, and I'd be happy as a quarterback.
I know, but don't you have to weigh in every week? Or that's really just the offensive lineman, probably. I don't think they're weighing the quarterback every week.
Yeah, Derek Carr doesn't strike me as somebody who has a weight problem.
No, of course not. But
Aaron Rodgers, maybe.
You and I don't have a weight problem, but when we go to New Orleans, we certainly do.
If Aaron Rodgers had a weight problem, he's getting rid of all of that in his 4-day darkness cleanse. So he's going to be.
You only get 2 meals a day, I think, in the darkness cleanse.
Well, the diapers won't hurt either.
What's that?
The diapers won't hurt either.
Yeah. Man, is
Why
he going to
does
be on McAfee tomorrow? Like, are we going to find out what's... Imagine you go into the darkness for 4 days, right? And you're looking for whatever answers to whatever questions are unresolved in your life, right? And you come out, and the first thing you do is go on Pat McAfee show. I mean, it's an excellent show. I'm just saying, any radio show.
That'd be wild.
Yeah, it's
I feel like a McAfee live look into the darkness would be fantastic. It's like, hey, Aaron, are you there?
By the way.
Just crickets.
Yeah, from the dark. He specifically said on the Pat McAfee show that I'm not going the diaper route, and everyone's saying he's in diapers.
No, because he said diapers are an option. He said he's not doing it.
Yeah, he said, I'm not doing the diapers.
Could change your idea.
Yeah.
But I keep reading these tweets saying Aaron Rodgers is currently wearing a diaper in the dark. When he had to, the man had to clarify he wasn't going to do the diapers. But I keep saying, if it's dark, I mean, men have been in this situation. You need a little light. Otherwise, you do not want to walk in that bathroom the next day.
You guys have to aim.
Aim in the dark? Are you kidding me? I know Aaron Rodgers is accurate. I know Aaron Rodgers is accurate, but in the pitch black?
Why do guys like taking a whiz outside?
It's freedom.
Nature.
Nature.
Freedom. Yeah.
You live in New York City, all of you. What nature? Nature what? If you really love nature, you live in Wyoming somewhere.
Bathrooms are gross.
We gotta get it wherever we can.
Wait, bathrooms are gross, but now the rest of us have to be around your outside wee-wee.
I have to be honest. I've always wanted to live in the suburbs, just to have a backyard. So
Just to pee in?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to pee near your own house. That's always great.
That must be a freedom that I can't even imagine as a city
the
dweller.
neighbors are going to love you.
Hey, guys, it's like, a Christmas vacation where he's emptying the RV.
Bleepers full.
Yeah. He doesn't have the same Cousin Eddie.
If you had the same equipment as us, Maggie, wouldn't you be tempted to go outside in the wind and just let it all go?
Because when I was in high school, I grew up in a small town in kind of, upstate, and we used to go to parties in the woods.
Sure.
So I have peed outside before.
Right, of
it's an art form. I can do this now. I'm like a Green Beret at this. Are you crazy? But I'm not like
Is that part of the Green Beret testing?
No.
I'm not reveling in it. Like, this isn't. If there had been a bathroom, I would have gladly gone to that. Peeing in the woods was the last resort.
Yeah, and I think it's more fun for us.
It's definitely more fun for you.
What's your stance on porta potties? Because you don't want to touch anything in there.
No, you can't. You got to just don't breathe, don't look. Just
they try really hard to clean it up by adding hand sanitizer to the mix. It's like, that doesn't make. I'm not pumping my hands.
Although
with that
sometimes I've been to fancy weddings that are outside, like in tents and stuff, and there are fancy porta potties that you can get.
Can I tell you a quick porta potty story, and then we'll get out of the gutter here? We were at the Waste Management Open.
Again, Ackerman's like, what
Waste
am
Management
I walking
Open,
into?
a party of we were a pretty big party, 7 or 8 guys.
Yeah.
Thanks to DraftKings. Thank you for the wonderful suite. So DraftKings, I found out early on, had 3 porta potties that were set aside separately from the public porta potties.
Oh, that's VIP.
So my friend went to the other porta potties and came back with a look like he had just seen something that he wants to forget as soon as possible. He goes, "That is the grossest porta potty I've ever been in." I'm like, dude, you should have asked me. These porta potties, if a porta potty can be deluxe, these were deluxe. They smelled fine.
Yeah,
they were
they're fancy.
pristinely clean. They were under this tent, and basically you needed a secret code to get into this porta potty.
Had like a bathroom attendant in there?
Yeah, it was.
You got to tip somebody. It's like literally sparkling, like a new car on the Price
there
is
wasn't
Right.
a lot of room for 2 of us in there, but the bathroom attendant gave me a mint.
I'll take a piece of gum and a spritz of cologne.
Yeah, it was very well done because Waste Management Open really having a private porta potty made all the difference.
I feel like I'd want that more than any other private experience there. Like I'll stand with everyone else.
Yeah. If you go into a normal porta potty, you have about a 1 in 3 chance of it getting turned over and ending up on Instagram.
Everyone's never said that.
That's my nightmare.
All of a sudden,
Maggie,
it's like,
you got squirrels. I got turned over porta potty.
All of a sudden, it's like, how did Samter get the bubonic plague? Like, I don't know. It hasn't been around since the Middle Ages.
We could have a debate about what's worse, but there's nothing worse. The thought of being in a porta potty that turns over.
My worst fear, because what are the odds it's really going to turn over unless someone's playing a really bad prank on you, is dropping the phone.
That's gone.
Sacrifice it. Let it go. It's gone.
No, that is long gone.
It's gone. And I have the kind of thing where I have my credit cards and stuff on the back of the phone. And my whole life would be gone.
Let me
I'm not
ask
going
you,
in.
What if it was a wedding ring?
Ugh. No, you got to go in for the ring.
Oh, no.
I have to.
No, you don't.
It's
You have
very
insurance on that, don't you?
I do, but it's a family heirloom.
Okay.
Oh, no, family heirloom.
Oh, by the way, I can't, if I'm going to a place that even there's a hint of a porta potty, except for a wedding, but then you get those fancy ones, right? The wedding ring doesn't come with me.
Oh, I like that.
I'm just putting the band on. I'm not going to have my
If you
ring.
were at the Waste Management Open, the wedding ring does not show up.
I didn't even bring it to Phoenix.
I love it. This is smart.
I don't even bring it on the road with me. I just leave it at my house.
I don't even wear one.
On the road, no ring.
I got my wedding band.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you think I'm looking for a good time at the Waste Management Open? I'm sorry, is this porta potty taken?
Hey, that 16th hole is crazy.
Yeah. Not crazy enough for that to happen. Wait, you turn your mic off. What are you afraid of?
Probably better than we
Did that go out on the air?
I'm sorry, I turned my mic off because
You afraid?
Just that pickup line. Hey, baby, is that porta potty taken?
Wouldn't be the first time. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Was that you I saw peeing in the woods earlier? It's amazing. 10 seconds, in, out. Boom, boom. I would get so worried a bear would be coming. All I need is to be drop trow, going in the woods, and cocaine bear comes crawling out of the woods. No thanks. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So, about Aaron Rodgers versus Derek Carr.
All feels relevant to Aaron Rodgers in the darkness retreat.
Totally. Coming up, we also have the quarterback drama that's about to get way more intense. Not talking about Rodgers or Carr here. Got another one for you. We'll do that in just a moment. Again, 855-212-4227. It's Maggie and Perloff. We're back after this.
Sports Flag.
Well, the NBA All-Star Game has given the league a few days off before the second half begins on Thursday. Former All-Star and MVP Russell Westbrook is reportedly heading back to L.A., finalizing a buyout from the Jazz, and he is set to sign with the Clippers. We're healthy again with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George back. Took over the fourth spot in the West with a win over the Suns in the first half finale. The new AP Top 25 poll is out today, and Houston is back at number 1 the third time this year, followed by Alabama, Kansas, UCLA, and Purdue. The Jayhawks are on the road tonight looking for their 5th straight at TCU. Kansas coming off a win over 9th-ranked Baylor. New to the top 25 this week are number 21 Northwestern, number 25 Texas A&M. There are 6 games in the NHL today. 4 are this afternoon. And right now, the Flyers have taken a 1-0 lead over the Calgary Flames on a goal by Travis Konechny, his 27th. The Kraken and Sharks are scoreless. Earlier today, David Pastrnak with a pair, lifting the Bruins over the Ottawa Senators 3-1. He now has 41 goals. Carter Verhaeghe's 30th in overtime gave the Panthers a 4-3 win over the Ducks. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Jim Rome here. Coming up Tuesday in the Jungle, a conversation with Dodgers manager Dave Roberts and Pro Football Hall of Famer Calvin Johnson. See you Tuesday, 12 noon Eastern, 9 Pacific.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back on Maggie and Perloff. Maggie, I have to be honest, as a Philadelphia Eagles fan, it's been good and bad the last couple of weeks. I'm looking at my division next year, and I'm hearing the Cowboys want to start over quarterback with CJ Stroud
They're
today.
intrigued, quote unquote.
Yes, intrigued. And by the way, why would you be intrigued with CJ Stroud? You'd be intrigued with Will Levis or Anthony Richardson, who are absolute physical freaks. CJ Stroud's just like competent quarterback. Whatever, that's not the point. The Washington Commanders are going with Sam Howell, apparently.
We'll see how long that stays.
I don't know. Eric Bieniemy was apparently told you better make it work with Sam Howell. And then the best news of all, the New York Giants apparently had to pay Daniel Jones $45 million a year to reports. So what is happening in my NFC East with these overrated quarterbacks? Daniel Jones switches agents and apparently wants over $40 million a year, according to some reports.
Well, it's weird because we can't figure out what this story actually means. So Jones, the Giants didn't pick up his fifth-year option, so Jones is a free agent now. So he changes agencies. So does that mean that his last agent maybe wanted to try to get him too much money, that he felt like it was going to make the Giants balk and he was going to have to go to the open market? Or is this new agency here to get him even more money? I think there was a jump to conclusion about what this could possibly mean, when in reality, we have no idea what it's going to mean.
Gosh, I see this $45 million price tag all over him, that he wants that, not $35 million. I think it's a bit of a guess, but I wonder, is there any way that you can pay any quarterback under $40 million? Will they be able to sign him for $30 million? Doesn't seem like something quarterbacks are doing these days.
But the idea, I mean, listen, Daniel Jones put together a nice season. It wasn't like crazy. The Giants had a pretty easy schedule, but he's got that thing now that I think every NFL team is looking for, Perloff, which is the running quarterback. Yeah. And he's got a good arm too. And I think this is now going to become like the norm, where I think teams are really looking for these guys who are big, who can run. Like Daniel Jones has gotten hurt in the past, by the way. He had a spine injury last year. He's had some ankle stuff. But Daniel Jones is also 6'5". He's like 250 or whatever. And that's, I think, the kind of running quarterback that teams are looking for. Not the smaller guys who can run. I think that's going to go a little bit out of vogue. I think it's the bigger guys who can run. Daniel Jones, Josh Allen, guys like that.
Name another guy like that.
Well, Mahomes is 6'2".
Mahomes isn't half the size of Josh Allen.
But he's like kind of, sturdy.
He doesn't really run.
Like a Cam Newton.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because I think that those big targets are really dangerous.
Okay, but does it seem like those bigger guys are getting hurt any more often than the smaller guys?
No,
or that the running guys get it hurt any more than the pocket guys?
Yes, the running guys are getting hurt.
Who? Which running guys?
Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts.
Okay, but
Kyler Murray.
I know, but Kyler Murray's small, and Lamar Jackson is not as big as Josh Allen either.
No, I know. But I'm just saying, well, first of all, Kyler Murray just got paid, and he's half the size of any of those guys.
No, I'm saying the combination of big and run.
Right, but I don't think the market is saying big and run is this hot thing that you're saying it is.
Well, let's see if Anthony Richardson and Will Levis get taken in the first round.
Well, they're going in the top 5, but
those are big guys who can run.
But so is Bryce Young, and he's a small guy who can run.
No, that's why. I mean, Bryce Young might, but I wouldn't take Bryce Young if I were a general manager because I don't want slight and run. I want big and be able to run. So at least you have a shot of protecting yourself.
Well, yeah, but there's no proof that works long term either.
Well, but how long term are you talking about?
5 years.
5 years? No way.
He was drafted in 11 and got the Super Bowl in 15 on his rookie deal. Then he had one. Then basically the first game of the next year, he started blowing up his shoulder and never got to the same thing.
Would you sign up for a guy if you knew you were getting to a Super Bowl? And to be honest, they probably should have won that Super Bowl. I mean, Peyton Manning was on his last. It was really Von Miller, Derek Wolfe. Those guys were awesome.
It wasn't the greatest Panthers team. They had run through the NFC.
Yeah.
I don't know if they should have won that game, but that's okay. It was like 12. It scored 24-14.
Yeah,
it was kind of a crappy game.
I was there. And it's funny because I only remember Von Miller really just blowing things up.
But I always think a misnomer is these big guys like Daniel Jones and Josh Allen. I don't think that they're immune from injury any more than the other guys. I'm shocked Josh Allen hasn't gotten hurt worse.
Not going.
He gets out there and his whole body's exposed. There's a lot of leg to hit there.
I know, but I mean, at least when he's running, he can try to protect himself as opposed to guys standing in the pocket, like Tua, who just gets creamed.
Well,
now, Tua's small, right?
Yeah, but Tom Brady did it for 20 years.
We got to stop using Tom Brady because
Eli Manning did it for 16 years.
He's the outlier to everything.
Matthew Stafford has done it for 13 years.
Yeah, but Stafford's had some injuries.
Right, but the pocket guys generally have lasted longer. I mean, this year, you can't ignore the fact Lamar Jackson's played 12 games the last 2 years. Maybe
2 years ago was like illness. Remember, he had COVID, was a little bit different.
I think he got hurt. I think he was hurt, though. I think he got hurt 2 years ago as well. Yeah,
it was definitely, I know he was missing because of illness for some of those games. I think he definitely got COVID towards the end of the year.
Definitely. Yeah. But I think he's been hurt 2 years in a row. His production has been dropping. And listen, Jalen Hurts is great, but they got to worry about his durability as well. I mean, I think we know running quarterbacks. We know what it is. This idea that Daniel Jones is going to be an exception, I think a lot of teams fool themselves into thinking they'll be the exception. The other thing is, you saw the Eagles game. He wasn't fast enough to get away from the Eagles defenders.
Which is crazy because that's his thing.
Yeah,
his speed.
But once it was a playoff game, they got the game plan for it. They knew exactly what was coming, and they cut off his angles from day one. It's harder to do that in the regular season. I mean, look at I will again get back to this. Russell Wilson ran a lot for many years, and he is not tall. And Lamar Jackson's run more than any quarterback in NFL history, and until about 2 years ago, he was fine. So I don't think big helps you that much.
I'd rather have a guy who's big if he can run as opposed to like a Bryce Young.
Well, I think
listen, again, Jones has gone through his injury stuff. I'm not saying he's immune. But, maybe the point is injuries can happen with every quarterback.
Definitely.
Because we had 70 quarterbacks start a game this year.
Definitely. But I think it doesn't matter what your size is. There are the guys who know how to avoid big hits, and there are guys who seem to take on big hits. Maybe Josh Allen is just an exception, but no one's bigger than Cam Newton, and he started getting hurt a lot.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, coming up, got more on Derek Carr's weekend with the Jets, of course, and some sound you've got to hear from Charles Barkley at the All-Star game. Amazing. Maggie and Perloff, don't move. We're CBS Sports Radio. We're streaming live, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Come jump on in.
You're in a 5-minute break.
All 5 minute break. 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 5 minute break.
4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
can see you're laughing at my voice, Maggie.
I kid you not. Mike Samter walked into the studio. He says,
"Man, Perloff sounds sexy today."
I don't need that.
Yes.
I don't need that 10 minutes before the show.
The Tone Loc of the Maggie and Perloff show. I agree, Mike. I mean, I didn't want to say it myself. I think I sound sexy.
This is not how to build a sex room. This is how to build a sex machine.
When you signed on with me, you knew you were signing on with a sex symbol, Maggie.
You look great.
Let's not be ridiculous, okay? I look passable at best.
Your shade of pale, still very much on point.
This voice is going to get me some voiceover gigs, Maggie.
Yeah.
You know it's true. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won. Let's go.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome into the show. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Whatever you were doing, watching, hope it was relaxing. We were basically consuming all NBA All-Star stuff all weekend long. I know you sprinkled in a little golf as well.
I watched a lot of golf. I admit I did a drive-by on the XFL. I wish The Rock.
That sounds bad.
The Rock was playing. I did some Daytona 500, and
Ricky Stenhouse.
I mixed in about 4 movies. I saw Ant-Man, so I had a lot going on. It was a post-Super Bowl weekend. I just zoned out and watched things the entire weekend. It was great.
Well, good for you. I mean, the NBA All-Star Game had a lot to it. We weren't really big fans of the actual game. Dunk contest was fun with Mac McClung, but here's what was really interesting, we thought, coming out of the All-Star Game. So, obviously, heading into the break, the biggest storylines were about the trade demands. Kyrie Irving made one, and then Kevin Durant made a trade request. And obviously, they're both gone out of Brooklyn. Kyrie's in Dallas, and Durant's in Phoenix. So here was Kevin Durant defending Kyrie and him asking for trades.
I don't think it's bad for the league. It's bringing more eyes to the league. More people are more excited. The tweets that I got and the news hits that we got from me being traded, Kyrie being traded, just bring more attention to the league. And that's really what makes you money, is when you get more attention. So I think it's great for the league, to be honest.
So that was Kevin Durant. Now, the commissioner, Adam Silver, did not share the same view.
That ability for teams to rebuild, to make changes in direction, that's healthy around the league. But trade demands are a bad thing. We don't want them to happen, and we got to focus on that and make sure that everyone is honoring their agreements.
All right, so you've got the commissioner, who obviously works for the owners, so he doesn't like trade demands. It puts owners in a bad spot, can bring negative headlines, all of that stuff. You got to work out a trade. You might get fleeced in a trade, who knows? Whereas the players actually love this and think it's great for the league.
Yeah, I side with the players on this one. If you're looking in the league as a whole, if you're a local fan, this stinks.
Yeah.
But come on, you're telling me the NBA playoffs are not better with Kevin Durant in Phoenix and Kyrie Irving in Dallas? They're way better. The Nets, who is an odd fan base, is because they're transplanted from New Jersey, and they're not the Knicks.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The Nets, there was so much bad energy around that team. This is great. All of a sudden, we have two really star-laden teams fighting in the West. And then you get Mikal Bridges in Brooklyn, who looks like a star as well. I think the more stars, the better. And these new situations add interest to the league. There's no way you could argue against that.
Now, see, I don't know. Here's where it's tough to side with the owners, because why should the power structure just go one way, right? We can all see there's like hypocrisy here. If you are a star player, you've got tons of leverage. If you don't want to play there anymore, you have the leverage to ask for a trade and get out. That's in pro sports. That's in business. That's wherever you have value in your life. You can try to demand and create the terms. But where I think this actually doesn't bode well for the league is that with the Kyrie, say what you want, let's take the Brooklyn Nets fan base out of it. I get that's a little bit different than the second team in New York, but let's just say it was Team X, and you had Durant and Kyrie both came there.
Yeah.
And they basically barely played together.
Right.
Like as far as NBA goes.
Right.
Before, then they brought in Harden. The three of them like really barely played together. The whole thing added up to one playoff series win, and now everybody's going their separate ways. Like, if I'm a fan of Fan X, if Team X,
right,
this has been such a colossal waste of time for me, and I didn't even get to see the real thing. Like, the fact that these guys can all just bolt for greener pastures, and to be honest, are they even greener? Kyrie Irving left Cleveland because he thought that was going to be better, to go to Boston, which he thought was going to be better. Then he leaves Boston because he thought Brooklyn was going to be better. Now he's leaving Brooklyn, he thinks Dallas is going to be better. It's his right to do, but think of the fan bases you just left in your wake. Like, you didn't want to stick around with Cleveland. Could have won more titles maybe if you were a little more bought in there. Listen, they did beat the Warriors one time. Could have done it again. Look at Boston. Has a great young team. If Kyrie was like fully bought in leadership Kyrie in Boston, maybe they have a title now. Then you go to Brooklyn. Obviously, that didn't work out, but they were in 4th place in the Eastern Conference when he asked for a trade. And now he's going to Dallas. Like, you just left all this bitterness in your wake.
Well, none of those teams are contending if Kyrie's still there. They're all, I mean, he's poison. He's terrible for a team. So the Brooklyn Nets, the best thing that happened in this whole thing is losing Kyrie.
But you get my point about a star. Even if it's not
real star, though. Kyrie, though, doesn't count. I mean,
he definitely counts.
I mean, Boston definitely got better as a franchise when the day they thought, oh, we're going to build around Kyrie. Thank God they didn't. Now they can actually build a team. And Brooklyn, the day KD leaving is a crisis for Brooklyn, but Kyrie leaving that's great.
But think about it. Boston, remember, they got to the Eastern Conference Finals, like ahead of schedule. And that's when Kyrie...
3 times, yeah.
And that's when Kyrie was like kind of salty about the fact he wasn't playing. Remember, he didn't show up in their Game 7 home game because he said he was like getting basically a nose job. Like he had a nasal, what do they call that? A deviated septum or something, and he had to get it fixed. Right. Or dental surgery or something ridiculous. So I think like that was a team that if Kyrie... Take what we know about him now. Right. But if he, in Boston at that time, had been fully bought in, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's one step away.
They're so lucky he left. Because didn't they make the Eastern Conference Finals the next year, too? I think they made it 3 in a row.
No, but if he had been there, maybe they're in the finals. Maybe they're champions already, that Tatum and Brown combo.
Kyrie Irving? No way. First of all, he's
shown he can make big shots in the playoffs.
What play? He's not on the court. Forget Kyrie Irving.
He won a title.
But don't you think, is the NBA more interesting with Kevin Durant in Phoenix, Kyrie Irving in Dallas, or more interesting with them, whatever that is in Brooklyn?
Well, depends. If I'm Team X.
No. To the general. You're just a fan of the NBA. You don't have a team.
Okay, but that's the thing. It might be more interesting. You get the dopamine hit of stars, moving around all the time. But think about, again, all the fan bases you just ticked off on your way there. So long term, what does it do? Does it make you want to, if I'm somebody who's in Cleveland or Boston or now Brooklyn, am I watching Kevin Durant and Kyrie? I feel scorned by them. I'm bitter about them.
No.
So I don't know if I do want to watch.
All right.
And there's a lot of fan bases who feel that way. There's a reason why Dave Lillard stays, right?
Who feels burned by Durant? Brooklyn?
Maybe Golden State, but they probably...
Oh, come on. He left... Did they? I don't think it's the same. I think Kevin Durant, first of all, did he leave as a trade or free agent from Golden State?
It was a sign and trade, technically.
Okay. He didn't really give up on Golden State. That had run its course, and he was hurt. Brooklyn, I just don't think that they ever really engaged with KD. I don't think it didn't come up there. He was a mercenary when he got there.
Right.
He's a mercenary while he leaves. So I think that softens the blow. And with a lot of these guys, it's not like when I was a kid and Dr. J was a Sixer for 14 years or whatever he was. I just don't think this loyalty to the fan base. I think Brooklyn, if you're really a Nets fan, you probably are psyched that they're blowing this up because you could see it wasn't working. It obviously wasn't working.
They were in 4th place at the time. Every season has to be its own thing, right? You had guys it was working in Brooklyn this year. So if I'm a Nets fan and I hung on this whole time through all of this Kyrie BS, through all of it, I kind of want to see this, can I watch it maybe try to happen one last year before everyone goes their separate ways? I
don't know. I have a good friend who's a Nets fan. He was thrilled that this was over. He said that they got, this is his take, my friend Dave.
Yeah.
Dave said, and of course Dave, that their schedule is totally false. They beat up on a bunch of load management teams or easy teams. That the Nets fan base didn't really think it was championship or bust this year. That felt like too big an ask. Because those guys were not going to be on the court consistently through this whole thing.
I know. What makes you think
they're healthy in the playoffs? I mean, you never know what
they might win a game.
They were healthy in the playoffs last year, and they got swept by the Celtics.
I think the bigger issue, though, for me, it's not like just looking at Brooklyn, KD, and Kyrie. I think it's larger picture of just the idea of, as a fan, right, whether you're a kid or you're an adult, buying jerseys or just getting emotionally invested in a team. If you know that those guys can leave at any moment, they sign a 7-year deal. You're like, oh, sweet, I got this guy for 7 years. I can be a fan of his and root for him. Oh, well, he wants to trade in 2 years. It reminds me of what happened with college basketball where, like, I don't know any of the star players in college basketball anymore, right? I remember, like, the times where Duke, you had all these guys staying until their senior year. You knew every guy coming back because they were good as sophomores, they were good as juniors. They're coming back, and you are invested in the teams, you're invested in the programs, you're invested in the players. But if you're a fan of a team and you can't get invested, whether it's a free agent or now, even with a contract for 7 years or 5 years or whatever, how can you actually be a fan and get invested emotionally in any player or team? You lose the interest, and I think we're seeing that, like you talked about, Perloff, how the NBA is becoming more regional and local. At the end of the day, like, you're not going to be as interested in the global product if you can't find a player that's going to stay in a team for more than a year.
But, Mike, the Nets they rip guys off of other teams to build this dream team. They can't be mad when those guys go dream teamer. They weren't homegrown products. There was no 7 years. They stole them from other teams to create this dream team.
But if you're building guys on free agency and they're free agents, fine. You know the contract's going to end. But if you sign a guy for 5-6 years, or like the Pelicans, they had Anthony Davis for like 3 or 4 more years, and he's like, I want out. But at the end of the day, like, you have a contract. You have to honor your contract. When you start demanding a trade, well, you know what? You shouldn't have signed that contract with that team.
This is the logic, right? And this is where it gets faulty, is that KD and Kyrie were free agents, right? So they decided to come here. It was the James Harden trade where they, whatever, that was a whole other thing. But this is where it's hard to make that case because owners and general managers can trade away these guys at any time. And so, again, it's like they've been doing that for years where teams have traded away your best player. And you're like, oh, my gosh, what did you guys just do? And that's why fan bases get so ticked off at ownership at times. So if you're a really powerful player, you're going to use your leverage and say, I want to leave. I don't like it for the league, but I understand why it happens.
Sure, but the owners, yes, they're doing, like when the owner makes a trade, oftentimes it's to better their team or to, I guess, to blow it up and to start all over.
Do you think the Boston Red Sox traded Mookie Betts to make their team better? No, it's because they were cheap and didn't want to pay, which is insane because Boston should have enough money.
Baseball is different, though, because in the NBA, there's a floor and there's a ceiling, there's a cap. Same thing with the NFL. So you're not going to see a team like the Orioles. We saw their owner just admit that they can spend more. They just choose not to. I don't think you're going to see that in the NBA. We've seen it, for, like you said, for decades, that the owners had the choice, but you still, as a fan, felt that the guy's going to be there until it's just not serviceable for him to be there anymore.
Which is Brooklyn, by the way. But wait, look, to KD's point, let me make one analogy and see if you guys agree with this.
Sure.
We're talking about a couple different things here. If Aaron Rodgers leaves the Packers to go to the Jets or the Raiders, does that automatically make the NFL more interesting next year? And won't that bring more eyeballs to the NFL? Katie is saying when you create more teams of interest, it gets more eyeballs, which he says ultimately is good for the league.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of truth to that. Aaron Rodgers going to the Raiders or the Jets would be huge for next year.
And we love when quarterbacks move around. But I think that there's a short term and there's a long term. Short term, I think it's great. You get the dopamine hit. Rodgers, Katie saying get the headlines and all this attention. It's great for you and I were at the Super Bowl. We're at the Super Bowl, and we led a show with the KD trade to Phoenix because it was the biggest news story.
Gets a lot of headlines.
Right. In the short term, I think it's good. But long term, are we seeing ultimately, do you think the NBA is growing in popularity? Or since this, like, sort of, I don't want to say revolution, but since guys started demanding trades more and it became a little bit more of a norm, do you think the NBA has gotten more popular or less popular? Because anecdotally, I think it's gotten less popular. And I think there's part of it where people are willing to accept when GMs or owners trade players, but they don't like it when it's the other way around. It feels like the team's quitting, the players quitting on the city. I think people take it more personally.
I don't think that's why the NBA is struggling.
It's probably not all one thing.
Good point. I don't know if the NBA is even struggling that much. But I think LeBron moving around, I think him leaving Cleveland to go to Miami gave the NBA a kick in the butt. I thought it was good.
Well, that was free agency. He didn't even demand a trade.
KD and Kyrie were free agency, and now they're demanding a trade. They weren't really attached to that Nets fan base. They were kind of mercenaries.
It just insert Team X.
Yeah. Well, Anthony Davis in New Orleans is not the same as KD and Kyrie. It's a must-have. He was a homegrown product who was the face of that team and the star of that team. I think Brooklyn took a risk by bringing in. They didn't take a risk. They were excited about it, but you have to admit, it was not ideal. Things were not looking up for Brooklyn. I know they were having a good year, but there were all sorts of problems. From day one, KD wanted to trade last summer. Kyrie wanted to trade last summer.
Yeah.
Kyrie doesn't show up. I mean, listen, it wasn't like it was a strong position when KD and Kyrie. That was KD's second trade request, and who knows? Kyrie probably was on his fifth trade request.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think KD on the Suns is going to be something to see. That makes all of a sudden the NBA playoffs got a lot more interesting.
so like. For example, in our chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, I'll just give you an example of Dan KissFan77, right? This demanding trade deal with these prima donna players is so new millennials. Back 20 years ago, the owners would have laughed in their faces and made them honor their contracts. Like, I think there are, I'm not saying everyone is Dan KissFan77, but I do think there is a feeling about, hey, you didn't even really see this through. Like Russell Wilson leaves Seattle. I'm sure Seahawks fans probably felt a certain way about it, but you'd also had Russell for a long
12
time.
years, yeah.
You'd won a Super Bowl. You'd been to another one. You should have two. You know, Aaron Rodgers, 18 years with the Packers. Like this KD Kyrie thing, ultimately was 4 years. It was
4
nothing.
terrible years.
And KD was hurt for one of them.
It wasn't 4 years. So it's 2 years, right?
Sorry, it was 2019.
Right, but KD wasn't there. What did KD play?
It was July of 2019 was when they joined the Nets. It hasn't even been 4 years.
When did KD start playing?
Not until 2021, 2020. Because he came in, remember, he was still rehabbing from the Achilles.
So he played during the bubble?
No.
Oh, so he's only been in Brooklyn for 2 seasons.
Actually, so it was 2 seasons. They still gave him an extension for $200 million. But he was
the 2019 finals. Okay, it was July. Right, that's when he blew out his ankle or blew out his Achilles. Yeah, I don't know. I have no problem with it. By the way, don't pretend this didn't happen in the old days. Kobe tried to get off the Lakers. My man, Vince Carter, my favorite player of all time, demanded out of Toronto and got to the Nets.
It was just interesting because the owners, though, weren't as strong-armed.
I don't know. Vince got away from the owners pretty easily in Toronto. And it's happened throughout time. And Magic got his coach fired.
Yeah.
Jordan, who knows what shenanigans he was pulling. He had as much power as anyone. It's not new to demand trades.
No, but it's definitely more frequent.
I hear you.
I mean, you have James Harden quit on the court twice. I mean, that's when you're really screwed if you're the league. Because Harden, listen, and he did not handle himself well in those instances at all.
He did not, but listen, if James Harden is your standard bearer, you're in big trouble.
Listen, and the league does their shenanigans too. Remember the Chris Paul to the Lakers trade that was voided
that was
for
so
reasons
annoying.
still unknown? Stu still steamed about that.
I mean, is it really all that unknown?
Well,
what was the reason? They didn't want the Lakers to win the title? What?
David Stern.
I have no idea. What's the reason? I'm honest.
Say it, Samter. You don't want to say it? Do we have to Google it first and then we'll come back?
I'll let you Google it because I don't want to.
Is this been confirmed? Whatever you're thinking?
No, but it's.
It's rumor.
Yeah, it's rumor.
Oh, was somebody sleeping with somebody's wife?
No.
Oh, okay. That's always at my default.
Oh, what? Since you're in the Derek Fisher territory.
Something like that.
I have no idea. Actually, I don't even remember why the Chris Paul trade.
All right, we're going to look it up, then we'll get back to you. 855-212-4CBS.
With a PG-13 version of whatever happened.
Listen, we're professional broadcasters. We got through a porta potty segment unscathed. We'll be able to get through this. 855-212-4227. See you guys on the phones as well. Do a little book report here in the break, and then we'll come on back. Don't move. We do have more from the All-Star game, including LeBron saying these next 23 games are the most important of his career regular season. Maggie and Perloff. Don't move. More show on the way.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Answer Ask the Pros question today, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Today's question is, what was your favorite part of our All-Star Weekend for Brian in Omaha? Don't forget, you can submit a question by going to cbssportsradio.com/askthepros or tweeting it at CBS Sports Radio using the hashtag AskThePros. Is there any doubt it was Mac McClung, Maggie? Or was there any other moment?
I think that was 100% McClung. And I was really kind of surprised once he got the first dunk where he jumped base over two people.
Yeah.
I was like, how is he going to top this? And then he did, and then the third dunk was the best one.
Here he goes. And he's putting on the handle. It's over, ladies and gentlemen. It is over, ladies and gentlemen. It is a wrap. It is Trey Murphy's face. He know it. CJ going to shake him up. Good job, man. It's over.
I mean, it was wild. It was like, it was like a 540, was it? How many spins he had?
Was that the 540?
I think so, yeah. It comes back to my snowboarding days.
I think the...
watching it, of course, not participating.
Mac McClung was great, but I like the chaos around the draft when they had everyone's mic open by accident. So Kenny, Shaq, Charles, and Ernie are all talking over each other while they're trying to do the draft, which makes no sense. It's totally incoherent. But my favorite was Charles Barkley saying something, and I'm not quite sure what it was.
Man, ain't no bad picks today. All these guys are great. Why does it sound like you're drunk? You all right? No, man, it's my mic. No, it ain't the mic. It's you. The mic. Hey, Mark Cuban. You down there. You all right? Yes. Wait, what the hell are you drinking? No, man, it's my mic. I got a delay.
He basically goes, you guys are great. You're great.
I love you guys.
Oh, yeah, my best friend. These guys are my best friend.
No, it's not me. It's you.
Yeah, it's my mic. But I understand Charles does live large All-Star Weekend. Usually, he had his voice. Usually, he loses his voice.
Yeah.
But this was not 10 in the morning on Sunday. This was 7:30 at night on Sunday. I thought that he sort of contained it or whatever. I don't know.
It felt like that. I
have no idea.
Also, I know you can do some damage in Utah, but like not that much. Bars close at 1.
All-Star Weekend, I have a feeling. So a lot of people at Super Bowl week were telling me, oh, we're going straight to party at All-Star Weekend. So they have these huge parties.
I know, but like Utah isn't generally known to be, that's more like you go to Utah to chill out.
Yeah,
see some great, nature and stuff.
I think they have party venues there. I don't think they're going to the local bar.
No.
Ain't no bad picks today.
Somebody was somewhere. Often. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. No, it seemed like everyone was having a great time because the show wouldn't end.
Oh, which the All-Star game?
Oh, my gosh.
Well, they had the Elam ending. That took about 3 minutes to get to that 182.
You had to wait 5 hours to get to something actually interesting basketball-wise.
And that wasn't even that interesting. That was a terrible, terrible game.
How about bringing out Malone and then Kareem and then LeBron after you've had the longest halftime in the history of mankind? I mean, it was a nice moment. It just didn't have to happen right then.
I don't think a lot of people were super fans of Karl Malone getting that much camera time.
No,
not good.
That was the one thing, too, I noticed came up a lot.
Yeah, my Twitter feed was not a fan of the mailman's frequent appearances on TV.
Well, it's also because, relitigating some things that happened in the past.
Why do I not remember that? Like, while he was playing.
Oh, I do.
Oh, yeah.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so Malone obviously, fathered a child when he was 20 with a 13-year-old, if you're not sure what we're talking about. And that was a long time ago. Yeah. And
it's like a known thing. How is that not like part of
their family
onto his resume?
Their family didn't press charges because he was on his way to the NBA, and eventually there was some kind of settlement. But that, and then there was another child, 2 twins that he did not acknowledge for a long, long time. So it's not, and that all gets brought up because when you put somebody out up on the pedestal like that as prominently as they did, which you'd get because it's Utah, and Malone was such a star there, but then all this stuff comes up. Meanwhile, Samter was like teasing some crazy drama around the Chris Paul trade that never happened in 2010 that made us seem like something. I'm like, why don't I remember this? I feel like you're like, I don't know, can I even say this on the air? I'm like,
I just don't want to feed in. The general thing was just that the NBA was trying to help a small market New Orleans franchise by not letting the trade go to the Lakers. I don't think there was anything untoward.
No, but
it was just kind of conspiracy. It was like frozen envelope.
No. I don't think you realized how you came off. I was like, what? Someone was sleeping with their wife? Like, that's how you made it seem like, you didn't know Chris Paul was sleeping with Mitch Kupchak's wife? It's like, that's not what happened at all.
Yeah, basically, that's the basic story. That's the headline on Yahoo Sports. Like,
the headline
the headline.
Yeah, the headline, there's an oral history now in the Los Angeles Times that happened years ago. They basically just didn't want to rob a small franchise where it looked like they were helping out the crown jewel franchise of the NBA.
It was also, and I remember this, it was because they didn't want the Lakers to be too good. The competitors in the West were upset about that, too. It would have handed the Lakers a bunch of titles, according to some people.
Yeah.
Well, now that what we know about Chris Paul, they probably wouldn't have won anything.
I don't know about that, but the Lakers eventually got Pau Gasol. I mean, and that was a trade that was basically, a little suspect.
That was very suspect.
Yeah, it got traded for Mark.
Then it turned out that Mark was good too. Mark made like 5 All-Star games.
I know, but they won a title with Pau.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, Mark turned out way better than anyone could have possibly assumed.
Pau Gasol was at All-Star. He was coaching up the what was he doing? He was there Saturday night doing something. Coaching up skills competition? What was he doing? Something. Saw Pau Gasol. He looks the same. Gary is in New Jersey, our buddy. Hey, Gary, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Good. Haven't talked to you in a while. How you been?
I'm doing very well. I just been busy with work. We had a merger, so it's just been crazy. So I haven't got myself on the air.
Gary, master brewer, Pelican Brewing. Check it out.
Speaking of that, I want to shout out to Nick from Texas. I've been talking to him through the Perloff site that he runs there on Twitter and Facebook. And I owe him, he reminded me, I owe him a Blue Moon clone beer. So that's for Nick.
Okay.
What's that?
I wanted to get that out there. The reason I'm calling is I'm a very passive NBA fan. I've been a Nets fan since the mid-'80s. I went to see them when they played at the Rack in Rutgers. So just the thing that bothers me about most of the NBA is Kyrie and Kevin wanted to come to Brooklyn. It's obviously we were overjoyed as Nets fans that they came.
Sure.
But when they forced their way out, that's what pushes people like me to be more passive fans because I just they don't stay. So it's like, what do I have to root for? It kills the fandom when these things happen throughout the NBA. So that's my whole sticking point with that.
Gary, totally understand. Wait, what's the Blue Moon clone?
Well, Blue Moon, the beer Blue Moon.
Yeah.
He wants me to brew something that's very similar to a Blue Moon.
Oh, got it. Okay. Well, listen, Gary, if anyone can do it, it's you. You make a great product. Thanks so much for calling in and representing the Nets fans that Perloff didn't think existed. Except for your friend Dave. I'm sorry.
Dave,
no disrespect to Dave.
You have to admit it is a funny fan base. Look, if they won, where would the parade be? No one even knows.
Brooklyn Bridge?
I don't know. Maybe.
I think that'd be cool.
That'd be very cool. It's not going to happen now.
No, not now, because dudes keep demanding trades. Nathan is in Los Angeles, wants to talk about another big story that happened today, which is Russell Westbrook finding a home with the Clippers. Hey, Nathan, how are you?
I'm good, yes. I saw that story this morning. I thought I'd inject a touch of local context that maybe you might put it together for us. Russell Westbrook has a thriving and even growing car business out here.
Is that right?
And I wonder so when I see the story saying he orchestrated a buyout in order to find his way back here, it feels as much like an off-the-court post-basketball move as it does an on-the-court kind of a move for him.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine wanting to stay in L.A. was very appealing. I did not know that Russell Westbrook started his first car dealership and bought his first car dealership in 2016.
He has, almost a dozen locations out here.
What kind of cars do they sell?
Almost everything.
No kidding.
Alfa Romeo, it goes up and down the line.
Alfa Romeo, fancy
all the way
Italian.
Up to the top cars, all the way up to from elite cars down to relatively average cars.
No kidding. Well, Nathan, thanks so much for letting us know that.
He has
Appreciate it.
A Van Jeep GMC dealership in Van Nuys. Way to go, Russell. Now, we all understand why Russell Westbrook wants to get to the Clippers.
Yeah.
The mystery is, why do the Clippers want Russell Westbrook on their team?
I don't know.
I mean, listen, I like the Clippers as a final championship, but you've seen him in the playoffs. Paul George is good. Kawhi Leonard's good. When they have Russell Westbrook's man covering them completely in the playoffs, which happens every single playoffs.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot harder for those guys to score. This is not good.
No, I don't understand it. Now, we know that Russell Westbrook and Paul George are really good friends. So maybe there was like some kind of lobbying there. I don't know. Maybe you hope that for these final 20-plus games, you know, you have Kawhi and Paul George. The minutes get monitored very, very closely with those two guys, try to keep them healthy for the postseason. The one thing about Westbrook that I'd be worried about is like a vibe check.
That's the least of my worries.
Well, I'm worried about the basketball part too, but I'm worried about the vibes because, listen, maybe this is the Lakers just being, you know, not cool on the way out, but like he gets painted like he was this moping, fighting with the coach, you know, not into it, not being part of the team. Why would you want to bring that in?
I don't think in 20 games you'll get enough of an effect to change the vibe. The problem is logistically in the playoffs, you're going to let Russell Westbrook, you're going to stay 15 feet off him, right? You're going to dare him to shoot the jump shot.
Shots,
And the history of Russell Westbrook, he always takes that shot. That's enough stops in a close series to kill the Clippers. They're going to be in a lot of close series. They always are.
Well, he's not going to play crunch time minutes then.
I think he will, though.
Yikes. I mean,
are you
bringing him in because now you're going to be playing crunch time playoff minutes? No way.
Well, I think, you know, they don't really have a point guard. I think he's going to play for them. I do. Even not crunch time, he's going to play 25, 30 minutes a game, and it's going to make a big impact there. I find it hard to believe he can do anything but hurt them. I've been wrong before, but he's going to take those jumpers in the playoffs. The Sixers have played him in the playoffs once, and he was the only good player on Washington. But all you had to do when it got crunch time is just pull back, let him shoot the jumper. He'll take it every time. He'll miss it enough. He's the lowest shooting three-point shooter in the entire NBA. He's the exact bottom.
Jeffrey saying in the chat, what do I have to do to get you off our team today?
Yeah.
Very good. I like that. Yeah, I don't understand it. I'd be worried about the basketball and the vibes. If he ends up, now, when we did our picks last week, we did $5 future bets.
Yeah, I had the Clippers as one of mine.
You took the Clippers.
I'm out.
I think that's why you're very concerned. That's why you're more concerned about it. What were the odds? Plus 850?
Plus 900. Now, I don't really think the Clippers have a vibe one way or the other. Kawhi Leonard is a non-vibe. He's vibeless. He's like a darkness retreat of personality.
Mr. New Balance.
Yeah.
Remember when there was the rumor that he only ate apples and everyone believed it?
Yeah, I don't think Kawhi Leonard lets that locker room stuff get to him. I think he's sort of above that. I love Kawhi Leonard. I think he's a great guy to have on your team. He's got a lot of spurs in him. I think he's a really good team player, so maybe they can bring in Russ and it'll all work, but I don't know. This is weird.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, now, Perloff said he did a drive-by on the XFL this week, but one rule that we really hope the NFL steals from the XFL, like today, right now, we'll tell you about that in just a moment, right after this CBS Sports Update with Rich Ackerman.
Sports Flash.
Well, the NBA schedule doesn't resume until Thursday after yesterday's All-Star game. 9-time All-Star Russell Westbrook is about to join his third team this year, with the Jazz reportedly buying out the former MVP. Will then head back to Southern California to join the Clippers. Westbrook is still chasing that elusive title, and he'll be reunited with his former Thunder teammate Paul George. The Clippers are healthy again and currently the 4th seed in the West. Houston takes over the top spot in the latest AP Top 25 poll. It is the third time the Cougars are ranked number 1 in the nation this season. Alabama is second, followed by Kansas. UCLA remains 4th. Purdue is 5th. The Jayhawks are in action tonight on the road at TCU after a win over Baylor over the weekend. There's action today in the NHL. Right now in the second period, the Flyers have a 3-1 lead over the Calgary Flames. Travis Konechny has his 27th goal this season. The Sharks, after 2, lead the Kraken by a score of 3-0. Logan Couture with his 20th goal of the season in that one. A couple of finals. David Pastrnak scored twice in Boston's 3-1 win over Ottawa. He now is 41 for the season, and Carter Verhaeghe's 30th coming in overtime lifted the Panthers over the Ducks 4-3. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, it's DA. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff hanging out with you on this President's Day Monday. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Let's get to it. Here's our Casamigos shot of the day.
He shoots!
The shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. And today, I'm not really sure why, but the conversation led to porta potties.
If you go into a normal porta potty, you have about a 1 in 3 chance of it getting turned over and ending up on Instagram.
Everyone's never said that. No, my worst fear is dropping the phone.
Oh,
just
that's gone.
Sacrifice it.
What do you
Let it go. It's gone.
No, that is long gone.
It's gone.
What if it was a wedding ring?
Ugh. No, you got to go in for the ring.
Oh, no.
I have to. There we go. And if once you get that ring and come out of it alive, hopefully there's a nice Casamigos cocktail waiting for you because you would have earned that one.
Yeah. I don't know how expensive your ring is, Maggie.
I'm not going to share that on the air.
Well, I was about to say, it's not worth it. Whatever.
I know it's priceless,
I don't care.
actually, because it's an heirloom.
Priceless, still not worth it.
You're telling me what I should just fake it, buy a new one, don't tell anybody?
It's an heirloom. I mean, listen, I think whoever it came from would understand that you didn't dive into that blue pool of whatever.
I know, it's so
Could you
weird.
ever wear it again? I mean, maybe you rescue it, but I'm never putting that back on my finger.
No, I mean, you sanitize it, right?
Nothing can sanitize that enough.
It's so bad.
Yeah. Wait, you say it's an heirloom from your side of the family or your husband's side?
From my grandmother.
So, wait. I don't
Her wedding ring.
Actually, I don't know how heirlooms work. Doesn't the heirloom have to be from the husband? So your husband got out of having to buy you a wedding ring?
Yeah, it's my grandmother's ring because I was the only granddaughter of her grandchildren. It's all boys and then me.
Before I make fun of the situation anymore, is there more tragic backstory to this ring? As there often is?
No, there's a happy story to this ring. This is great. You know, it's a great memory of my grandmother.
It's a great savings for your husband.
Lucky guy, huh?
Yeah, I hope you
just
guys...
by marrying me, quite lucky. But
well, yes, of course, he hit the lottery already.
Sure. I love how I had to say that. As I remind him often, you asked me.
It would have been weird if we said, "Man, your husband is lucky."
It would have been odd.
Yeah, that would have been.
It would have not been on brand for the show.
And not only that, I don't even know if that's appropriate for a coworker to say that. Man, your husband hit the lottery. We are technically coworkers.
Yeah, no, I know. No, happy times. Happy looking at this ring.
Yeah, but I agree with you. You're going to need a few shots after finding that ring.
Finding that in the porta potty?
If that's the situation.
I just don't understand. Why does it still have to be blue? The blue's not working. Or maybe that's as good as it gets. I don't know. Anyway, the XFL.
Please move on.
I'm not going to say something about the quality of football in the XFL and compare it to what you find in a porta potty because that would be wrong. And it wouldn't be true. It looks like every spring football league. You know, I always tune into the XFL or the USFL or whatever thinking I'm going to see like something great. But no, it's just good. It's fine. If you really have a Jones for football, you can scratch that itch with the XFL. However, they do have one rule, Perloff, that I want the NFL to adopt immediately. Immediately. After you score a touchdown, instead of kicking an extra point, you can go for a 1-point play from the 2-yard line, like a 2-point conversion now. You can go for a 2-point play from the 5-yard line, or you can go for a 3-point play from the 10-yard line. I love it.
So
I want the NFL to do it.
The addition is a 3-point play.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
No, and you get 2-yard line, you get 1 point. 5-yard line, you get 2 points.
Right.
10-yard line, you get 3
So in the NFL, you get 1 from a 32-yard field goal. You get 2 from the 2-yard line. You're adding a 3-pointer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, a field goal would be a 3-pointer too.
Yeah,
but.
except you get to add 3, so you have wild comebacks. They had this last year, right? Or I've heard this before. I think this is not brand. Yeah, I don't know. That feels like a real change in the fabric of the game.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, that would mean
feel the same when they added the 2-point conversion like 10 years ago?
Yeah, but wasn't there a 2-point conversion? That always been floating around.
A 2-point conversion.
Yeah, that didn't feel as radical. That feels a little radical. So if you have say the game is you're up by 10 say you're up 30-21 with 6 minutes left, they can score a 9-point play.
Yeah, or a 10-point play. No, 9-point play. 9-point.
Feels a little gimmicky.
I love it. I think it's
don't
great.
like it. I would not.
You sound like the old guy. Oh, the 3-point line. It's so terrible. 3 points. It's crazy.
I just think that there's nothing precious anymore.
All right, let's put. All right, if I sound like the old guy, let's put that out for a poll. Do people want a 3-point conversion in the NFL? You're saying that it'll be overwhelmingly yes.
A 3-point, yeah. It has to be. How do you describe this to people?
A 3-point conversion from the 10-yard line.
From the 10-yard line.
Do you honestly think people are going to want that from the NFL?
Hell yeah.
Okay. We will have the results on tomorrow's Twitter poll because you guys are, Samper is especially saying
it's a get off my lawn thing.
Get off my lawn. Okay.
Major League Baseball put a runner on second in extra innings. Nothing is sacred anymore.
But see, that wasn't even get off my lawn. That was just stupid.
Well, it's permanent now. Ugh. I actually don't mind it, but it's a huge change now. Thank God, pitch clock. Our prayers have been answered. All we need is that electronic strike zone, and now we're really cooking baseball. 855-212-4CBS. I don't know if I want to take this call. Scott in California's got a porta potty story. What am I doing this?
I haven't heard the story.
You didn't. Way to screen the call.
But we've had Scott on multiple times before. I trust Scott. I mean, I can get the details, but I feel like Scott would be trustworthy enough to tell us a clean enough story.
All right, Scott. We're putting our lives in your. We're putting our lives in your hand, buddy.
Maggie, I think I got something to say to you. Anyway, I am harmless. I don't know. I'm a Viking fan. I will defend the Vikings to the end, and that's how you guys know me. But I'm also an umpire, so my porta potty story is this: as an umpire, when you do tournaments, your games they always get backed up, so they're trying to keep them tight. So as an umpire, you get off the field and you got to use the porta potty. So I walk off the field. I'm behind the plate that day, and I go. And we didn't have the big ones. And Perloff, I've been in some of those nice ones that have the diaper changers and all that good stuff. And they're huge. Yeah, but this one was not that. So I go in there and I'm in there real quick and I'm saying, okay, got another game. So I walk out and. As an umpire, you're thinking, I got my clicker, I got my thing, I'm looking at my game, when's the start time? And about 20 feet, 30 feet away from the porta potty, I'm thinking, something's wrong. What am I missing something? And I didn't have my mask.
Oh, no.
So I flipped around, I went back to the porta potty, and this little kid comes, he's like 7 or 8. He's coming out of the porta potty. I just went in. I went in, and I had it masked down with the cushion up. And it was just like this little residue of like morning dew or like a slight rain. And but this porta potty didn't have the pre-roll dispenser or anything like that. So I did my best with the toilet paper they did have there, and I put that mask on and called the game. And all through that game, I was thinking, this isn't cool, man. But anyway, that's it. Don't ever be afraid of me. I love you guys.
Scott, I'm so. Thank you for the phone call. Oh my gosh. He had to wear a pee mask. Oh. Oh man, a 7-year-old pee. What do you think's in that? Just a lot of like big league chew residue and what do 7-year-olds eat? Candy.
Apple juice.
Apple juice. Oh god. Oh,
definitely Capri Sun for sure.
Maybe some oranges, maybe a little lucky there. Yuck.
That's so nasty.
But honestly, you can't be an umpire behind the plate without a mask on. These kids throw so erratically. You take one right in the jaw.
Well, I guess it depends how old they are.
I think it's like Little League. Made me think that.
Yeah. Like 6 years old, 7-year-old, you could survive.
Oh, no.
I still would have gone maskless. Wouldn't you?
I don't know, man. I think I just would have been like, I'm not feeling well. I think I got to go home. I don't know.
Game postponed.
Yeah, just call it off. Everyone go home. Ugh. Well, that was a porta potty story. And no, Scott didn't get us in trouble with the FCC. So I appreciate that.
Definitely not.
Sigh of relief for me.
Yeah, Sandra.
Finger on the dump button.
You're like, well, I didn't ask him what the story was about. It's like, let's just let it ride. You're lucky Scott's an upstanding citizen. Thank you, Mike Samter. Thank you to Stu Kovacs. Thank you to everyone on the phones and also you Weedos and Purple Drinkers in the chat. Great President's Day, everyone. Thanks for showing up and showing out. We will see you tomorrow.